Saturday, November 16, the first ever Bathurst 24-hour endurance race is a reality. A class field of 36 entries featuring 28 international drivers will face the 4 p.m. start, but it is the locally grown Holden Monaro team that has captured the headlines.
This is where Australia first saw the Monaro race. Back in 1968, the Holden HK 327 Monaro took out the first 3 spots on the grid for the Hardy Ferodo 500-mile event. The Monaro went on to win in both 1968 and in 69. That year, a young Peter Brock making his debut finished third in a Monaro, while Colin Bond, driving another Monaro, won the race. 34 years later, and the Monaro is back, this time with a 427 cubic inch engine, and with more than just Ford in its sights, is ready to take on the world's fastest road cars like Ferrari and Porsche.
It's a very sophisticated race car, but I guess in reality it's not as sophisticated as a factory-built Porsche or a factory specially built Ferrari, but it does have the experience factor of having the knowledge from running on local circuits, and we have used some of the technology from the supercar experience, which has been over 8 or 9 years, a learning curve. So it's been a good exercise.
The Monaro has been built by Gary Rogers Motorsport over the last 10 months, and while the car was expected on track earlier, the wait is sure to be worth it.
It's been enjoyable. It's been tough because we've had to run our supercar program at the same time, and the initial process when we were first spoken about building the car was we weren't going to run it until March next year. But then when the 24-hour race came up, Holden saw that as an excellent opportunity to market the car, and so we sort of had to wind things up a bit. But unfortunately, I've got a great bunch of workers, and we all sort of dug in and got the thing finished in time.
In testing, the car's been quick. The big question though, will it last for 24 hours?
Well, obviously when you build a car for a 24-hour event, you try and look at every component and make it as durable as possible. In the lead-up testing that we have had, and there's only been a very little bit of lead-up testing, it's only done about 400 kilometres of running the car, so we had a small power steering problem, but we cured that pretty much straight away. And at the moment we're just going through systems checks with temperatures and things like that, and that's all going quite well. So when you build the car, like I said, you build it with durability in mind, and you drive it with that in mind as well during the race.
Well, a great Australian icon is back. 34 years since it first appeared on this exciting and challenging racetrack, the Holden Monaro is set to put Australia on the international stage in the ultimate showdown of the world's fastest road cars.
Basically our backyard. So what are you guys talking about? Just trying to pay out a bit on those Euros, mate, the imports, see what they...
Do you reckon they've made allowances for those 8-foot kangaroos that are going to be jumping the fences?
Well, we haven't told them about the drop bears either yet, have we? The drop bears?
We'll keep that a secret. We won't tell them anything about that sort of stuff.
Well, Richo, Tanda and Ritty Boy, you may have more Ks under your V8 supercar belts for now, but let's just see in 24 hours who is exactly Holden onto the checkered flag. Mount Panorama has proven to be an irresistible challenge to a bunch of bravehearts who've journeyed many miles to stake their claim on an Aussie icon.
It's a great circuit, you know, across the mountain and down, and, you know, it's got every bit of different type of corner that you can you have in a racetrack. And a lot of current racetracks have changed a lot because of safety issues and things like that, and they've lost a lot of the character. This track has remained the same for a long time. They've improved safety issues on this track, but they haven't changed the character of the track.
The name Brabham is motorsport royalty. The last time David Brabham conquered the mountain was in 1997 with his brother Jeff in a BMW. So how does he rate this brand new Porsche GT3R over 24 hours?
Porsche know how to build a car for 24 hours. They've been doing it for a long time. They've won Le Mans, I don't know how many times, but lots.
If anything is going to bother the Brabham Porsche, it might be this beauty, the Mosler MT900R, a dark horse weighing 1,000 kilos with a rumoured 500 horsepower.
I think we're going to be running we are definitely going to be running in the top 5. I would think we'll be hopefully running in the top 3.
I'm a fairly well-read car enthusiast, and I've never heard of a Mosler.
And when you desperately need to find those extra tenths of a second from your Ferrari, it's nice to have this guy around, Italian Claudio Bassini. His real job, helping a bloke called Schumacher stay #1 in the world.
For me, Bathurst is incredible.
John Bowe has enlisted his V8 supercar buddies Brad Jones and Paul Morris to get into this Ferrari. And as far as the Jones boy is concerned, he is a Ford man desperate to hunt down a Holden.
Yeah, part of my job is no matter what I'm in, I've got to know a Holden. So hopefully the Ferrari's going to be up to the job.
Being serious, the Monaro is a better V8 supercar.
If this year's Bathurst 1000 went well for Jim Richards, this weekend was almost over before it began. He was set to race this $450,000 Porsche RS until co-driver Peter Fitzgerald did this in qualifying, leaving the car's owner, Mahir Al-Gadri, to go to Plan B and bring in his Porsche Cup GT3.
These gentlemen are top drivers. They can drive any car and put them into finish. They are such gentle, but I don't know whether I can.
So for the next 24 hours, it's Australia versus the world, in a place where being homegrown definitely has its own advantages.
These imports, they come over here and try and take on our mountain. This is our mountain, this is our place.
That's right, our house.
Billed as a race for the world's fastest road cars, 5 different classes will contest the event, from the exotic outright contenders through to road-going production cars for under $80,000.
We had a vision for this event. Greatest track in the world, down under. It's a great day.
For Ross Palmer, it feels like an eternity since he started the wheels turning on his vision for a 24-hour endurance race at Australia's most famous race circuit. The journey has required tunnel vision and at times an incredibly thick skin, but he was determined to bring together the ultimate showcase for high-performance race cars.
The Group 1 cars are the glamour cars, but then we have all the other classes down through the field as well.
Group 1 entries fall into the In Your Dreams category, high horsepower with engine capacity over 3,500. Now this group includes the latest Porsche GT3R, a Mosler MT900R, and the top performer from Australia's successful Nations Cup series, John Bowe, in a Ferrari NGT.
It's extremely nervous at the moment, so we're trying to address that, because you wouldn't want to be driving a nervous car.
And for the first time in the world, an Aussie icon is muscling in on the tourists. Holden debuting its awesome Monaro, motorsport's worst kept secret from the Melbourne workshop of Gary Rogers.
We're here with our Aussie car, our kangaroos, meat pies, VB cans. We're right amongst it.
Group 1 cars will obviously have the fastest top-line speed, but they'll wear their brakes and tyres harder. The next group down is all about reliability, so it's no surprise to find the definition of that word, BMW.
BMW have got a great history in endurance racing, so that solid is wrong. They'll just keep going and going.
GT performance cars fall under the Group 5 category. There's 13 cars in this group, all priced at under $150,000. So as you can imagine, sponsors are everything to these homegrown privateers.
It can be anyone's race. Although there's some big performance cars here, there's no guarantee they're going to finish.
The final 2 categories cover the drivers who are probably having the best time here this weekend, racing because they just love it. In Group 9, cars worth under $80,000. But don't think for a minute that they wouldn't like to put a Porsche in its place if given half the chance.
Our game plan's just to keep the cars together for the first 20 hours, and if we've got a good platform underneath us, then we can probably have a go at the end if we're a chance.
And a special invitational class rounds out the field of 30s and a V6 Magna from Mitsubishi. And just for the pure drool factor and an understanding of Italian eye for lions, the appearance at Bathurst of the Maserati Trofeo.
Tony Raftis from PHR Scuderia is certainly would love us to be up there today, but unfortunately it's just not enough time. But we hopefully will be here in 2003 though.
Mount Panorama is normally a public road facility. 6.2 kilometres in length, with a long mountain climb up through the cutting, then over a blind section of track across the top of the mountain. The climbing grade is 1 in 6. The track rises over 1,000 feet before dropping rapidly down through the Esses, the Dipper and onto Conrod Strait. The Group 1 cars reach close to 300 kilometres per hour before going into the chase, then a short run under the Dunlop Bridge to the final turn. A hard left onto the main straight. Due to the drought, a kangaroo warning was issued for areas around the cutting and at Forest Elbow, where during the weekend over 30 kangaroos and emus were spotted. The lap record is held by John Bowe in a Ford Falcon V8 supercar at 2:10.55. In qualifying, the John Bowe Budweiser Ferrari with a 2:15.0 was just cutting 1.4 seconds faster than the Holden Monaro. Co-driver Brad Jones setting the time. The David Brabham Certec Porsche was a further 3 seconds behind, and the American Mosler did well to post 4th fastest time. From the Sequel Porsche of Tony Burgess and Andrew Bagnall, the Graham Nash entry from the UK qualified 6th. Chris Morris teaming up with 3 locals in a last-minute deal, while the Mazda RX-7 of Sydney's Bob Pearson was the first of the GT performance cars. 6 different manufacturers qualified in the top 8. Quickest of the Group 2 Super Tourers was the Bruce Miles BMW.
JB, a couple of last-minute changes to the car yesterday. You handed over to Brad James, and now you're happily sitting on pole position.
Well, he is the king of Bathurst, and he's just sitting behind me there, so I had to say that. No, he did a great job. I'm really happy with our driving lineup with Brad, Paul Morris and John Chulin. I think we've got a nice combination. We've all had time in Ferraris, so you learn their little idiosyncrasies and their secrets, and it's a very difficult race. 24 hours is more than just going fast. It's keeping going, staying out of trouble, reliability, you name it, it's in it.
First time we've seen a race like this in Australia, and so I guess the mental and physical approach to the race will be a little different to anything you've done before.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have a clue, so I'll tell you about it hopefully in 24 hours' time. But, there's some guys in the race that have done multiple 24-hour events. So, obviously ask some questions, but you don't know till it really happens.
Good on you, John. Good luck to you and the team.
Right, cheers.
Well, Grant, with me I've got Garth Tander, and a defining moment for Holden, a defining moment for Gary Rogers Motorsport, and a defining moment for Garth Tander.
That's right, Ali. Yeah, first 24-hour event held in Australia for quite some time, and hopefully the first of many, and first race for the new Monaro, so I think we'll be looking pretty special.
Well, you are an Aussie icon. Have you had your Wheat Bix to get you through the next 24 hours?
Yeah, I had some Wheat Bix, and then I had a meat pie with sauce for lunch, so I'm looking pretty good.
Terrific. I guess this is something you're going to be able to tell your grandkids about, how long do you think you're going to spend your first stint behind the wheel?
Never mind the grandkids, I'll just get the race over and done with first.
We've got to find your wife first.
The first stint we'll probably do about an hour and a half in the first run, and we'll just assess how the car's going, and we'll probably into the night we'll start double stinting, so that way we give each other a good sleep throughout the night, so then we're ready for tomorrow.
And the pressure's on though, to put those Europeans in their place, you know that?
Yeah, there's a bit of pressure, and it's probably the only Australian car that's going to be able to take it up to the European cars, so there's plenty of pressure from within the team regardless of what outside expectations are, so I think the car's definitely fast enough, and the team have done a fantastic job. Yeah, it's just going to be up to the lap of the gods to see if we can pull it off.
Well, away you go, Garth Tander. The weight of the nation is on your shoulders.
Oh, thanks, Ali. Not much pressure now.
Qualifying casualties included the Fitzgerald Richards brand new $500,000 Porsche GT3 RS and the GTP performance favourite Evo 7 of Anton Metzler's, which hit a wall and bent the front rails. Problems for the VJ Angelo Rickshaw M3 saw an engine change. And the Monaro was also in trouble with an overheating diff, showing early signs of the lack of development time.
I don't think we should lose sight of the fact that 24 hours is a bloody long way, and I've done a few 24-hour races, and I think for people that haven't, when they get there and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and you think it's nearly over, the race is only halfway run, and you've just got to make sure you've done your work well enough, but at this stage it's a very exciting feeling.
With such a variety of manufacturers competing, the garages were filled with a combination of the world's fastest exotic road cars, production-based touring cars and sports cars, all facing the unknown demands of 24 hours around Mount Panorama.
The car's been down to a body shell and back built again. The biggest difference is we're allowed to run coolers, oil coolers on the diff and the gearbox and so forth. So that's been a bit of work, plus just making sure the car is absolutely been prepared from top to bottom.
I think it's a case of the hare and the tortoise here. Let's just see what happens at the end of the day. We've got 24 hours of long, hard racing. These little pocket rockets will be a little surprise for everyone. Massive brakes, fantastic.
This is the fourth time I've been here, and Deb's only driven here once before, so she's looking forward to actually having a race this time.
Yeah, because I only practiced last time I came, so this will be really neat.
We're working on the hare and the tortoise syndrome, so we're just going to sneak up on them, and I don't know, anything can happen. It's a long race, so we're trying pretty hard.
I've popped my eyeballs back in, changed my underwear, and I think we're going to be okay. No, it's just awesome, absolutely awesome. Never seen anything like it, and we're really, really pleased with it, because we went round in the hire car before, and that was pretty scary, but in the race car it's actually far less scary, because it handles and it stops and it accelerates, and really, really pleased. I think we're going to be running we are definitely going to be running in the top 5. I would think we'll be hopefully running in the top 3. Obviously we're going to be, the biggest issue here is the Monaro, which is an absolute rocket, and all the rumours about it are absolutely true. I think maybe one of the lads went a bit too quick in the first test this morning, and he's probably getting a bit of a slap and a shakedown around the back. But you can never underestimate the Porsches. There's some serious Porsches here, and they just go round and round and round, and they do it very quickly and very reliably.
Following the qualifying crash, the PHR Scuderia team substituted the new GT3 RS with Maher Al-Ghamri's 2002 Super Cup car, which had just completed a full Nations Cup season and had not been prepped for the 24-hour enduro.
We've got Maher Al-Ghamri's Cup car, and we're up and going.
Do you think it's going to have the pace?
Yeah, I do, because really the RS that we got was a pretty new car, and it was probably a little bit short of some development time. So this is a car that the guys have used all year with 3 drivers who have driven the Cup cars all year. So yeah, I think it'll be pretty good.
Just prior to the 4 p.m. start, 9-time Bathurst winner, King of the Mountain, Peter Brock, called the drivers to the grid.
Good afternoon, everybody. The ultimate Australia versus the World Challenge since 1938. Internationals have been coming here to Bathurst, renowned now as one of the top 3 road circuits in the world. David Addison, how exciting is this? They said it wouldn't happen. It's happening.
It's paradise, isn't it? Racing at the mountain for 24 hours. It's a fantastic lineup of cars. There you can see the front of the grid, the Holden versus the Ferrari, the Mosler. That car, that particular model, in only its 3rd ever race. You've got the icon of GT racing, the Porsche 911 in there as well. This is going to be an enthralling 24 hours.
Grant Boyden, 36 cars, a good quality field for the very first ever Bathurst 24-hour endurance race.
Yeah, Craig, and a lot of team managers at the moment walking up and down pit lane with their mechanics, biting their nails. It's a test of not just driver, not just car, but the entire infrastructure as well.
Now we need to explain, folks, the race has actually started right on 4 o'clock, but the first lap will be conducted behind a safety car. So even though this is perceived as a warm-up lap, it actually will be counted as a race lap. So effectively, the first ever Bathurst 24-hour endurance race is now underway. The pole time set yesterday, 2:15 flat, by Brad Jones in the John Bowell Ferrari. He's sharing with John Chilton and Paul Morris. And of course then, Garth Tander, Stephen Richards, Nathan Pretty, Cameron McConville in the awesome Just Cars Insurance Monaro.
Then we go back to the Certec Motorsport car out of position number 3, David Brabham, the man that they're all chasing this weekend. Darren Palmer with him, Alan Price and Manfred Urash with him as well. Then back to the next Porsche on the line of Martin Short. That's the Mosler, the one that everyone's been looking for. Mark Pashley, Charles Lamb and Mulligan Moore teaming up with those crew this weekend.
Back to position 5, another Porsche. Tony Burgess, Andrew Bagnall, John Lord, Jürgen Olsen, then another Porsche, this time Peter Floyd, the Australian-based driver, Chris Maris, Rod Wilson and Gary McDonald from position 6.
The next row sees a Mazda RX-7, Bob Pearson, Mark Bram, Bruce Stewart and Peter Roma. Then the first of the BMWs, Bruce Mills, Murray Clellan and Larry Cleves rounding out position number 8.
They keep rolling through. Then the Mitsubishi Magna, the future tourer of Bosnjak, Luff, Palmer, side bottom, the Dollar Motorsport BMW M3, Donaldson, Brooks, Wilson, Donaldson again.
Then to position 11, it is the Holden of Jeff Parker, Jeff Walters, David Sala and Peter Gazzard, formerly from Commodore Cup Racing. Then we go back to Howard Redhouse, Peter Hennon and Dominic Benica.
From position 13 of this 36-car field, another Holden future tourer, Williams, Moore, Kilpatrick. From position 14, Jimmy Richards well back, sharing the car with Whelan, Al Gardry and Peter Fitzgerald.
Then in 15 it's Peter Boylan, Damien White and Peter McKay. Then we go to VJ Angelo, Rick Shaw, Matthew Marsh and Ross Buckingham.
17, the Subaru of Peters, Dean, Rubers and Falk. Then the Lancer Evo 7 of Alexander, Woodbury and Morecambe.
On the next row, Alan Wald, Roland Hill and Dennis Cribben. Wayne Russell in the next car with Steve Cramp, Gary Holt and Darren Edwards.
Position 21, another BMW, the two Chapmans, husband and wife team, Dennis and Debbie, O'Donnell, Lindsay and Scott, then Scott Anderson, Wayne Boatwright, Ross Harmon and of course Ross Holiday.
Then Trevor Haynes, Mark King, Trevor Schumacher, James Phillip out of 23, 24 sees Nathan Pilkington, Ian Mitchell, Mark Williamson and Elton Goonan.
And they keep coming, folks, too. The Lancer Evo 7 of Metchler, Park, Bill and Hughes, the Donut King 200 SX of Alford Grounds, Quinn and Grant Denyer.
Then we go back to Ray Ayton, Rodney Woods, Then we go back to Hugh Harrison, Michael Robinson, and the next car out of 28, Melrose, Peter Lemus and Shane Bragwood.
29, Mitsubishi Mirage of Young, Courtney Robson, then another one of Borg, Shepherd, Ellsgood back there in position 30.
Peter Hansen in the next car with Herman Tinky. Then we go to Melinda Price as well, and Stefan Rattel not in the car. We've got Greg Hansen in the next car with Dean, Stuber and Smith.
33, another Holden Commodore, the loadsman Luff, Lintodd, David Russell car, and of course another BMW from the Wayne Russell stable, Wayne Moore, Roger Townsend, Clark Quinn, Tony Blanche in that car.
36 cars out on the track around Mount Panorama. As Craig told you, the clock has started. The first ever 24-hour race around Mount Panorama is underway. This time around, the safety car will pull in, Craig, and we'll be under full pace.
Yes, John Bow now coming down under the Dunlop Bridge in 888. You're riding with him, the Budweiser Ferrari. Great time for Brad Jones. And of course, Garth Tander will start in the mighty 427 cubic inch Monaro alongside David.
It's going to be a fantastic sight as they make the run to the first corner, of course. This, in effect, warming up lap, although the clock is ticking away. The drivers now can sense, of course, how close they are to the race itself getting underway, and we're about to get real business underway here.
Jimmy Richards, a little bit of spit on the gloves, rubs the hand together. Let's get into them. Starting well back after, of course, his teammate Peter Fitzgerald crashed the Porsche, the first ever qualifying session here for the 24-hour race, so they've had to substitute another car, a Super Cup car, as again they follow the safety car down under the Dunlop Bridge, ready to peel off. And it's John Bow on pole position, Garth Tander alongside. Then we go back to David Brabham in car 24, and alongside him all the way from America, the American base, Mosler, MT 900R onto the main straight now. John Bow will take the green flag to start the first ever 24-hour endurance race at Mount Panorama. Holden on the outside, Ferrari on the inside, then a Porsche, then a Mosler, and away they go. Bow's got the run. Will Tander run with him side by side up the hill? It'll be 3.6 litre versus 7 litre as they lead this very, very first 36-car field at Mount Panorama on the first lap of the 24-hour endurance race.
The Ferrari, though, coming under pressure, and indeed the Holden goes ahead. So great start by Garth Tander. He moves himself ahead. It's the Holden leading the Ferrari in second place, and already, look, those two sprinting away. David Brabham is third, and Martin Short fourth in the Mosler.
Yeah, sitting right there, waiting to pounce too in front of Brabham. Brabham making his way through Conacher at the moment, but that was the start that the Monaro wanted. They wanted to get out in front, they wanted to get some clean air and put in some quick lap times.
Yeah, Mosler sitting back there in third spot, so in good form. David Brabham, Jimmy Richards has made up a heap of ground already, so watch Jimmy Richards, the car that he's sharing with Mahir Al-Qadri, who owns it, Peter Fitzgerald and Matt Whelan as well. Number of internationals, first time here in Australia for this 24-hour race, and a lot of unknowns, so many unknowns. Joining us in commentary is Cameron McConville. You're sharing this mighty 427 cubic inch Monaro, Cam. I bet you can't wait.
I can't actually. I tell you what, I'm very nervous, I've got to say, watching my car run around. Usually if I'm in the commentary box, I'm not actually racing, Craig, so I can't wait to get the best of both worlds. I watch the start with you guys and have a drive in the dark a bit later on.
So, Tander now, leading Bow in the 888 Budweiser Ferrari through VB Dipper. And I guess, Cam, we'll see how good this car really is compared to the 3.6 litre Ferrari once we hit Conrod Straight.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This Monaro's got huge amounts of torque. You should see it pull away. Maybe not so much top end, but under acceleration, and it's just a brilliant car to drive. Gary Rogers' team have done a great job. But that Ferrari is very, very quick. It pipped us in qualifying, so it'll be an interesting race at the front of the field.
And already you can get a glimpse here of the way that different teams are going to adopt a strategy for this race, because the Holden and the Ferrari sprinting away already, whereas in third place there we had the Mosler and the Porsche battling away, losing time, it seems, on this first lap, but already settling into the sort of pace they're happy to run at. There's no point being a hero on this first lap. You've got 24 hours of this, remember.
I guess that's the unknown, is what sort of lap times are these guys likely to run at? I mean, I know, Cam, you won't tell us what your race strategy is, but assume a race time of around 220. That'll cover sort of 570 to 600 laps, about 3,500 kilometres, like a 24-hour race from Sydney to Perth, 12,500 gear changes, 1,800 litres of fuel for each car. Just an amazing potpourri of all these things thrown in the air, and no one has absolutely any idea of what the outcome of this race is likely to be.
First race casualty was the Alfred Grounds Quindenia Donut King Nissan in the pits with an overheating engine.
How you doing, Tony Quinn? What are you doing pitting so damn early?
I'll tell you what, we're just boiling the kettle for the coffee for the donuts. I think that we need a bit more milk.
Doing a tremendous job back there at 6th spot is this car, the American-made Mosler MT900R. David Addison, John Bowe said before this weekend he'd never heard of a Mosler. Tell us all about it.
Warren Mosler, the American, is the man behind this car, and Martin Short went to Daytona. He saw at the start of the one of these amazing cars racing and thought, that is what I have got to have. And Martin Short, who by his day job makes roll cages for other racing cars, runs his own team, Roll Centre Racing. This car, in only its third race, it's done 1 hour at Donington, it's done over 2 hours at the Bell Car race at Zolder, and it's being caught by Chris Maris at the Porsche. Chris Maris driving this car. Chris, 58 years of age. Last year at Donington, when he was qualifying for a race, he had a heart attack of all things. And he's about to get past the Mosler, I think. Chris living this dream of racing at Bathurst, but there you can see Scott Note's in the pit lane. Engine problems, we gather, for number 62. And of course, within the first half hour of the race, this is bad news.
Yeah, one looks at the race pace too. I mean, they're still lapping in the 17s, those outright cars of Tander, Bowe, David Brabham. So one would assume that no one would like to be running quite this hard quite so soon in the race. And are you surprised by that?
I'm a little bit surprised by the top two, and you always get the feeling here that Garth Tander is acting as a hare a little bit by going off so quickly and trying to break the Ferrari, taking it with him. But PHR is an experienced enough team to know that that's not necessarily the thing to do. So I'm a little bit surprised that they're not settling into a slightly more relaxed pace. I reckon that David Brabham in the Certec Porsche is doing the right thing. He's going quickly enough to get away, but he's also driving within himself at the moment. And I hate to say it, Holden fans, but I do think that the David Brabham Porsche is the one that's going to win this race. But there's a good battle going on here. Look, for, at the moment, 6th place. It's like a British GT battle because you've got Martin Short ahead of Chris Maris there in the Mike Newton-owned Graham Nash Motorsport run Porsche. And I reckon they're going to change very quickly for 6th place. At the moment, Martin Short has it, but ahead of him, it's a good battle going on.
Well, mate, we whipped you in the ashes and we'll do it again this weekend, I'm sure. Garth Tander, and the class letters that you see down the right-hand side, nothing to do with the car numbers. They're actually the class that the car is running in. So, of course, the Monaro running in the outright class, Nations Cup spec, and doing a tremendous job. Barris back there, of course, still in 7th spot. First of the GT Performance cars, Bob Pearson, the product Mazda RX-7. Steve Williams, Warren Luff, Rod Wilson, and Rick Shaw rounding out the top 12 in Class 2, which, of course, he's driving one of the overseas BMWs from the VJ Angelo stable. Grant, what's happening? Oh, in fact, we've got...
here with Scott Loadsman, who's... Scott, what seems to be the problem?
I don't know, mate, I can't see. I'm in here. Got no idea.
You've done pretty much changed everything in this car. And what did it feel like?
Yeah, we changed everything, mate, but there must be a fuel problem. I don't know what it is.
Okay, mate.
Yeah, Grant just got caught out there. Car 30, was it car 31?
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Osborne Motorsport MR2 has crashed quite heavily. Was that onto the straight Shell Helix corner, I think?
Yeah, I think that's just out of, it looked a little bit like onto the front straight or out of Hell corner at turn 1, but I'd be very surprised if that doesn't bring out the first safety car, because that's quite a big hit. You can see the front and back wheels are definitely not pointing the direction they're supposed to go. That's on the exit of Hell corner, turn 1, so that is a very, very big hit indeed. Quite bad suspension damage as well as panel damage that you can see.
Yeah, Scott Fleming in the car at the moment, one of the Osborne Motorsport cars running in Group 9, which essentially are production touring cars under about $80,000. So bad luck for the Osborne Motorsport team so early in the race.
Yeah, well, down in their garage, they've got a spare car sitting in one part of the garage and a whole heap of the parts that they thought they may need to use during this race in the other part of the garage. Unfortunately for them, they're definitely going to use them. This is how it happened.
Oh, and back steps out, tries to correct and bang, quite hard into the wall.
That car will not be going anywhere in a hurry. In fact, I'd be surprised if that got out today, because that was a big hit. Just carried a little bit too much mid-corner speed, it looked like. Got sideways and then over-corrected slightly, swung back the other way and a big hit into the fence.
And a big lesson learned there, it is not a sprint race. There's no need to push, there's no need to be a hero so early on.
Following the Scott Fleming crash just 30 minutes into the race, the first safety car period was called. But at the restart, again the Monaro was the form car.
The way that John Bowe is going, just getting himself closer there to the back of the Monaro, makes me think that he is going to have a go here. The safety car will peel out of the way in a moment, and then they'll accelerate their way up through VIP Pet Foods corner, up across the line. Just look at the way the Ferrari is positioning itself there. John Bowe means business, doesn't he? They can't, of course, go for it. They can't overtake until they get to the green flag that is about to fly. As they come there now, the pace quickens, the Monaro sprints away. John Bowe, I think in a straight line, may have to watch it go.
Yes, and of course a number of slower cars too between John Bowe and David Brabham back there in third spot by nature of the safety car. But Garth Tander will again lead them up Mountain Straight. Lap 15 of this first ever 24-hour endurance race at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Back down to 35 cars now with our first casualty, and look at the awesome power of this Monaro. Absolutely unleashed up Mountain Straight.
Well, that was our plan, Craig. If ever there's a restart, is to slow them right up and then use the torque of the engine to accelerate away, and Garth's done it perfectly.
It works very well. He's pulled out a mile of room just on the climb up Mountain Straight. Here they come up towards the cutting. Good 3 or 4 seconds almost.
And David, these are very different types of cars, aren't they? Ferrari, thoroughbred, big aerodynamics, high rimming, 3.6 litre V8 engine, as opposed to the Monaro with bags of horsepower and torque.
That's right, and as we saw early on, of course, the Monaro is good for some bits of the circuit, the real power parts of it, whereas the Ferrari is much better through the corners. But you just get the feeling at the moment that maybe John Bowe is writing, "Dear Santa, what I'd like for Christmas is," because that Monaro at the moment showing him the way round. Now that gap, of course, across the top of the mountain should come down a little bit, and then, rather frustratingly for John, it'll open up again in a straight line. But yeah, the very powerful Monaro here, you can see, is being caught by John Bowe, and just as he'll get close enough, going into the elbow, then the power will kick in of the Monaro, and off it'll go once more.
Yes, you can only imagine what Paul Cruikshank, the team manager for Prancing Horse Racing that run the Ferraris, telling JB, slow down, pull the revs down. But JB tends to turn the radio off around about that time, doesn't he?
Yeah, he probably does. But look, this is great. I mean, these are two very, very different cars. I've driven the Ferrari, or not quite that spec, but a 360 Challenge car. You can hear it revs a lot higher. It's very fast across the top of the mountain at Phillip Island, where I did drive a Ferrari. It's very stable on high-speed corners. So, it's great. You've got the torque of the Monaro, and this car is still very well balanced. And I reckon Bowie's doing it pretty comfortably. He's a bit of a cagey one, John, so I'd say he's just cruising. He's quite happy at that pace.
Yes, he's the ultimate politician, isn't he?
Yeah, we've seen that. He's given our Holden Monaro a bit of curry over the last week, yet they were 1.5 seconds faster than us in qualifying, so I don't know how we need to nobble it just yet.
Well, JB hanging with him too down to Conrod Straight through VIP that time.
I was reading in the Motorsport News magazine on the way to the circuit recently that John was saying that the Monaro perhaps wasn't really within the spirit of the regulations in the Nations Cup. Well, if you're going to look at a car and say that's an unlikely Nations Cup car, surely the Mosler is the one, because you don't see that many Moslers going down the high street, do you? It really does look more like a Group C sports car than a GT car. Now, just look at the way the Monaro gets away again in the straight line there.
Certainly in this country, and it's very, very hard to pass, as I said, but I'm the wrong person to talk to because I'm employed by Holden this weekend, so I think it's a great car. It should be out there for sure.
Still in the 16s, 2:16.77 for Tander, 2:16.79 for Bowe, so 2/100ths of a second in their lap time on that first flying lap after the safety car.
Tander pulls out a gap, climbing up the mountain, and then Bowe closes in over the top.
The new Nissan 350Z of Nathan Pilkington, running 22nd outright, suffered a tyre failure just 45 minutes into the race.
This is the Nissan 350-0Z. Brand new car, only arrived in Australia 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he's gone in quite hard somewhere, or has he just had a blown right-hand front that's torn the guard off?
I'd say more than likely, Craig. Looking at that, that's the tyre flapping around there. It's just done all that damage to the guard. He could have had a blowout down Conrod Straight, looking at where he went off. So that's a very high-speed place to have a tyre blowout, and hopefully he doesn't do too much damage other than stick a new guard back on it.
If there's any luck to come out of that, it's that it happened towards the end of the lap and he hasn't had to crawl around too far and do yet more damage. If you're going to have a puncture, at least it's reasonably good news it was towards the end of the lap.
Well, I've actually seen tyres blow, as you say, David, early on the lap, and by the time they get round, the car stopped because it rips out the electricals and wiring and everything under there. So fortunately he hasn't had to travel too far, but it's done a fair bit of damage in the meantime.
Car that he's sharing with Ian Mitchell and Mark Williamson, and was a brand new car, brand new Nissan, a V6, 3.5 litre V6, and a car that he intends to run in next year's GT Performance Championship, and was quite favoured to do quite well this weekend. Let's have a look at the replay, and yes, you can just see he runs off on the exit of the chase, so probably by the time he's got there, the tyre's well and truly gone.
Yeah, it's very strange because the tyre's not loaded there. You're in a straight line. Maybe it actually started to go through the kink, but I'm really, very, very surprised at where it actually blew there.
Rather go straight off into the chase, control it and get it out onto the grass than get in there all messed up and sideways and perhaps roll the car. Nathan's been able to get it back down into pit lane at the moment, and the crew are working frantically on repairing the damage and putting a new tyre on the front right of this car.
At the 50-minute mark, the lead car driven by Garth Tander also had tyre trouble.
No problems for the race leader. The Just Car Insurance Monaro, a blown right-hand front tyre grad coming into pit lane now.
Yeah, it looks like it's starting to carve up that guard a bit. Not the great start for the Monaro, not what they wanted to see, and they're going to lose the race lead as a result.
Yes, this will put the John Bowe Budweiser Ferrari into the race lead for the first time since the race start. Effectively, although it started from pole, this was the car that led lap 1 and continued to lead from this point. So throwing the, you can tell much just chewed up the tyre too. Trying to pull the guard off now.
There's not much left of that old tyre. They've obviously had to come from a long way out on the racetrack, been able to get it back. Here goes the wheel nut on now, locked on tight. Not going to lose all that much time, but certainly making it a very difficult start for the Monaro.
We'll certainly drop the car back through the field.
The first hour, and with the fuel load coming down, Bow set the fastest lap at 2 minutes 15.7, 2/10 off the pole time.
As we watch this battle on screen at the moment, lap 24, 2:15.69 for John Bow. What an unbelievable time that is. I didn't expect to see a 2:15 in this race.
I just can't understand why so early in the race, John Bow, when he has no need to at this stage, is lapping so fast. Unless he believes there is an enormous amount left in the car, and he is being easy on the car, but that's really hard to understand, David.
I'm still a bit surprised by it, yes. I mean, my only thought really at the moment is that what he's trying to do is hard when he can and open up an advantage, and then if there is a problem, they've got some sort of cushion there. But one way of trying to make sure there isn't a problem is not to stress the car, so it's a bit chicken and egg. This Porsche battle, though, shaping up well. Tony Burgess being reeled in now by Jim Richards, and if you want anybody that knows the mountain well in your team, Jim Richards is the man.
Well, he's just come off the back of his 7th win. Mark Scaife, Holden Racing Team recently in the Bob Jane T-March 1000. And this is the battle for third spot, 52. Tony Burgess in the Sequel Porsche, ahead of him on the road. Tell us about this team.
It's another team that's come from the German GT element of racing and also from the FIA, the International Series. And it's one of those teams that's been around for a while. Initially, really, it was run by Peter Cycle as an enthusiast who had to take paying drivers to keep the whole thing going. But as the team has evolved, it's become more of a threat in its own right. And now it's one of the better Porsche teams in international racing. And one of the guys that is working with them and driving the car, Jürgen Alpsen, whose brother Uwe Alpsen races in the German Touring Car Championship. He's somebody that takes part in the German Long Distance Championship, where 24-hour races are a feature. So he knows exactly how to take a car, and a Porsche at that, through to the distance. But really, very rare that we see the team outside Europe or outside America these days, and adapting well to the mountain.
Jimmy Richards won here in 1997 with Peter Fitzgerald. The Polken Tyres Porsche took out the 3-hour GTP Showroom Showdown. In fact, that was 1998, and led home Neil Crompton by about 2.1 of a second at the flagfall, and just loves this part of the mountain. It's the absolute master to watch. He's been so hungry this year, wrapped up his 3rd Nations Cup championship in a row.
And look at the 2 different lines coming down out of the mountain. Jim knows this territory oh so well. Now comes up alongside and is going to leave him for dead, coming down Conrod Straight. Got a beautiful run out of the turn. That's just track knowledge.
A masterclass in how to go around that panorama there, being supplied by Jim Richards to Tony Burgess. And if Tony's got any sense, and I think he has, he'll probably sit behind and just watch Jim for a lap or so and see what the lines are. But that GT3 RS, of course, is quicker in certain parts of the circuit rather than the Cup spec car, so he may well chance his arm here and try and go back ahead of him, Craig.
So what is the difference in spec between the two cars, David? Lighter for the RS car by about 100 kilos, as I understand.
That's right.
A little bit more power.
A little bit more power, that's right, yeah. And it really is designed for longer races, whereas the GT3 Cup has sprint races for the majority of its calendar across the world. But it's the same sort of shape, but you can see just slight modifications to the bodywork as well within the GT3 RS. Much bigger rear wing on the back of that car as well. And they're tucked back up behind Jim Richards. Catching a little under braking from Shell Corner there is Tony Burgess. Accelerating now once more up towards the top of the hill.
He's following him around the racetrack. You have to start to wonder if maybe he was happy to let him go by and do exactly what you said. Follow him for a lap or two. There is nobody that knows the track better. You're on board with him now. So cool, calm and collected behind the wheel.
You see, if Tony Burgess can live with Jim Richards here, then he's done a good thing, because what he's allowing Jim to do is carve his way through the traffic, and Tony Burgess can just sit there and go through behind him and learn the circuit as he does, so he can let Jim Richards do all the hard work. And of course, what Tony Burgess has been doing for the last lap or two is looking in his mirror all the time. Well, he doesn't have to do that now. He can just sit there, follow Jim Richards through, and it may well have been a shrewd move to let him go.
Just 9 minutes after setting the fastest time, the 888 Budweiser Lavazza Ferrari was in trouble.
Gee, I think I just picked up John Bow. He's slowing, yes. I thought I caught it through the commentary window. And problems for the Budweiser Ferrari.
And it's happened at the worst possible place, coming past his pit at walking pace. And if that car can do a lap, I'll be amazed. He's got a long, long, long way to go. It might take him 24 hours to get back to his pits now. Mea culpa, as they say in Italy. We have a problem, and the Ferrari heading back, but that Ferrari with a problem.
Ali, what's the story?
Well, at the moment, it looks as if the oil pressure alarm has gone off on the dashboard, and that's causing some concern, Paul Cruikshank.
Yeah, we'll probably just put the slack alley and have a quick look at it. We're just waiting to hear back from John now, so just reset the dash, just see what happens. So nervous time.
If you bear in mind how long it's taken John to get the car round to the pits and then out on the pit stop, it's going to lose him at least a lap, I would have thought, this to David Brabham, and therefore so early in the race one of the leading cars goes a lap behind.
As you say, you know, if it happened on pit straight, the worst possible place, because he's got to go 6.2 kilometres right around. If it had happened down Mount Panorama, maybe not so much of a problem, and it's all so important to stay on the lead lap.
Now what they'll do here, of course, as they will in any pit stop, if it's an unscheduled one like this, is refuel the car. They'll probably change the tyres as well. Certainly have a look at the tyre wear. There is John Bow sitting in the car, shaking his head. Now, it's always a bad sign when the head shakes, isn't it?
Yeah, disconsolate John Bow, one would think at the moment, looking in such good form. This is the class leader in car 10, car 15, the Donaldson, Robert Brooks, Robert Wilson, Della Motorsport BMW. Tell us about the Della Motorsport team.
Della Motorsport has done a lot of long-distance racing in Europe. They come from Group N showroom spec racing initially in Germany. John Bow out of the car there, walking away, and the car is going to have, I think, to be pushed back behind the pits of the garage and be worked on away from the pit lane, which is not good news.
Yeah, I've got Paul Morris, one of the 4 drivers with the John Bow team here, the Prancing Horse race team. From what I can see, it's a pretty serious powwow over your shoulder there with all those red army boys. What are you going to do?
Well, it's lost oil pressure, and we can work out why it's done it, but it's done a bit of damage when it's lost oil pressure, so really the safest thing to do is change the engine and try and get the car back out there, which I think they're going to do.
Change the engine?
Yeah, I think it's a long job, but anything can happen in this race, and we've had a bit of bad luck, and it could happen to anyone, so we'll get back out there and keep trying.
But now you've seen 2 of those leading Group 1 cars with problems. I know in the case of the Holden it was a puncture, not a mechanical problem. The Ferrari has bigger woes. But all of this rather sort of backs up my theory, if I can be smug for a moment, that one of these Group 10 showroom spec BMWs will get into the top 6 by the end, because they will just go on and on. They are designed like the Porsches, but to a different level, for longer distance racing. And these 2 Della Motorsport cars are going to go so well, and I reckon they'll be in the top 6 at the end.
Now, they're running in Group 10, the Invitational class, which has a number of different sort of cars in there. Little Mitsubishi Mirages, what we call Future Tourers here in Australia, which are V8 engine, Commodores, Falcons, and a Mitsubishi Magnus. So the specs of these cars are pretty much road going, but built for endurance racing in terms of the design, brakes, gearbox, engine.
Yeah, it's an endurance Group N championship. Group N really in Europe these days being about as close as you get to showroom specification. The idea being that it keeps the costs down. You don't have to spend too much money on modifying the cars. Great variety though in this race. Now, everywhere you look there's a different shape and a different size. Look at a modern day Formula 1 grid, and apart from the colours, everything looks and sounds the same. But here you've got different engine notes and different shapes and sizes. The Z BMW Coupe there going through, for example, one of the different shapes within this race, and that car going pretty well at the moment, number 35.
Fresh from his season with Paynos in the American Le Mans Series, David Brabham was now the new race leader.
David Brabham continues the lead in this car, the Porsche 911 RS. Certec Motorsport, and doing it very, very easily, very, very comfortably. 32 laps down, still lapping at the 2:22.1, and I guess exactly the race pace that he'd be happy to be running at now.
That's right, and 4 of these bulletproof Porsches in the top 5, led by David Brabham. In second place, Jim Richards, then the interloper, the Holden, Garth Tander, then in 4th place, Tony Burgess, Chris Maris 5th, and the Moseley 6th in the hands of Martin Short.
Now, this is the battle for second now, so Jimmy Richards under attack, Porsche, Germany under attack from Australia, and the Holden Monaro of Garth Tander. Down into VIP Pet Foods corner, onto the short pit straight here at Mount Panorama. And Jimmy Richards in 99. We'll see that big yellow Monaro looming any moment now.
Last time around, Garth Tander lapped 3 seconds faster. This time he's only 3/10 faster. But of course, Jimmy Richards now has got yet more traffic to contend with. He's also got one of the BMWs there running wide, a very slow BM to be negotiated. Both of them, I think, slightly impeded there. Howard Redhouse gets out of the way, and the Datadot BMW nose to tail. Jimmy Richards and Garth Tander now with bags more power. Blast up the inside, side by side as they head up the hill, down over the dip, and now Garth Tander is ahead of Jim Richards, and the Monaro, despite having had that unscheduled stop, goes second.
And one of Jimmy Richards' favourite lines is that a good big un will beat a good little one any day. Classic example of it.
Of course, what Jimmy Richards has to be aware of here is not to go charging on after that Monaro, because that's going to break the strategy they've already worked out. If he's already settled into his pace, then what he's got to do is just sort of calm himself and let the Monaro go. That can do its own thing, but Jim Richards has to stay at his own prearranged pace, if you like, and just make sure that he doesn't overstress that car.
It must be so hard for a driver not to get caught up in that, let's go out and let's race. I was noticed that you were talking about that Tony Burgess earlier on. when he was in a position where he could have battled with both Jim Richards and Garth Tander. Didn't even contest it. Just got straight out of the way, let them go. I'm on my race pace, I'm doing consistent lap times, I'll be there at the end.
And equally, as far as Jim Richards is concerned, 3 or 4 corners later, look, he's back with the Monaro because of the traffic. So you never know what's going to happen in this race, particularly at the top of the hill here, because of all of these slower cars.
Well, 1 hour 27 minutes down of this first ever 24-hour endurance race from Mount Panorama Bathurst. And David Brabham in car 24, leading from Richards. Well, was Jimmy Richards, but now Garth Tander. Richards back to third. Then Chris Maris and Martin Short, the top 5. I guess one of the handicaps that Jimmy Richards really faces this weekend is this car has not been prepped at all for a 24-hour race. It's done a season of Nations Cup racing. There's been absolutely no preparation, no component changes prior to this race other than what they can do here this weekend. So he has to drive it in an absolute conservative mode.
I just wonder as well how difficult it's going to be for him adapting to different co-drivers as well, because a lot of the success in a race like this is down to teamwork. And of course, in the case of Matt Violent, he's been a driver he's not worked with before, and Jim Richards going well here to win the 1,000 kilometres with Mark Scaife, now having to adapt to a different type of race, a longer race, different mechanics, although he's used, of course, to many of them from the Nations Cup, but different co-drivers as well. So many unknowns feature in a race like this.
Well, you can guarantee that Peter Fitzgerald will do a good job. You're only allowed one mistake a year. He's had that one, so...
And what a mistake, yeah.
And it really wasn't his fault. That we're led to believe that there maybe had been some sand out on the track at the time, and that's what got the car horribly wrong. So in his defence, we should point that out. That's the story he's running with anyway.
He was the only man to find it, though, wasn't he?
Yep.
Boy, did he find it.
Tell you what, you just look at this car out on the track, it just looks so smooth, so in control. We heard Brad Jones saying earlier, they seem to be short-shifting the car, preserving the motor, preserving the drivetrain. It just pulls, look at it just pull out of the Ford cutting.
And it's a car that really shakes the ground, doesn't it? I mean, it really, really does shake
Great
the mountain.
sound.
It's a bit like a Paynos with a roof on. You know, the Paynos, which was the front engine prototype on Paynos' car with its rumbling V8 engine. Well, here the Monaro comes up that same sort of effect. Remember about an hour and a half ago I was saying how the way that Garth Tander was going, it was almost as though he was acting as a hare to try and break the Ferrari. He was taking John Bowe with him. They were both doing very, very rapid lap times. Well, now Garth Tander is there in second place, and the Ferrari is in the pits and it needs an engine change. Maybe if that was the plan, they might not own up to it, but if it was the plan, it's worked, hasn't it?
Well, the Monaro first came here in 1968, 327 cubic inches, and went on to win. Bruce McPhee, Barry Mulholland taking the win, and absolutely then annihilating the Ford GT of the time as car 19 comes into the pits.
We gather as well that number 52, the Zycle Motorsport Porsche, has been black flagged for a pit lane speeding infringement, and that's Andrew Bagnall that took the car over. Now, just wondering whether it was speeding coming in or going out, but either way, it has been caught going too fast in the pit lane and it will have to come in again.
One of the New Zealand entries, Bruce Miles.
Yeah, that's actually the car that Brabham raced here at Mount Panorama, the former Super Tourer car. It's still going around at the moment. They've had pretty good success with that so far this week, and it's remained pretty constant, hasn't caused them too many headaches.
Andrew Bagnall in the Zycle Motorsport Porsche, running sixth outright, was one of the many caught out for speeding in pit lane.
Now, 52 was black flagged, of course, for that speed infringement in the pit lane. The confusion seems to be that Andrew Bagnall
doesn't know where the penalty is to apply.
Well, is it going to be a stop-go or a drive-through? And I think it's a drive-through, but he obviously is unaware. He went for the team, they've waved him through, so it's a drive-through penalty, and you can see now he's being much more careful about the speed in the pit lane.
Yeah, stop-goes and drive-through penalties to take effect at the end of pit lane. If you're given a time penalty, that happens down in your pit bay. That's where the confusion tends to come in. Starts that run up the hill again. The headlights well and truly on, not just because things are going to start to get dark out there soon, to try and let the lap traffic know that he's on his way through, being a much faster car. He's also got a great deal of experience in events like these too, David.
Yeah, Andrew Bagnall comes to Le Mans every year. He does the Spa 24-hour race as well, and a very experienced driver. Yeah, he understands. He's perhaps not the quickest man in this race, but what he brings with him is a wealth of knowledge of how you tackle, and more importantly, how you finish a 24-hour race, and that's as important for the team as it is, for the driver himself.
He's been to Bathurst a number of times. In fact, had a major crash here some years ago, and in a Ford Sierra put it in quite hard. So he's done plenty of laps around Bathurst.
The Mechler Evo 7 continued to have dramas less than 2 hours into the race.
That, I think, is a car with a problem, is it not, as well? The Anton Mechler Mitsubishi Lantern looked a little bit too slow. He may well have bounced off the wall there heading up the hill.
While the GT Performance class leader Bob Pearson's Mazda RX-7 was showing the signs of engine problems to come.
Getting a bit concerned about a rather smoky Mazda there.
Yeah, that's the Bob Pearson car. It's been doing that for a few laps. It looks to progressively be getting worse. Craig, I think you were talking about it earlier. You were talking about the probability of it not making the end of the race.
Jim Richards had started 14th, but was now in the top 3 by the 90-minute mark.
Jimmy Richards coming into the pits now in car 99, the man who's running third outright in the 24-hour endurance race at Mount Panorama. Ali's right on the spot.
Yeah, it's taken a little while. A few false starts sort of getting Jimmy into the pits here. They've changed their mind a couple of times, kept him out on a few laps. What you're going to see here is, of course, a tyre change, a fuel change, and also a driver change. Jumping in, replacing Jimmy Richards is Mahir Al Gadri, the billionaire from Malaysia, and it's actually his car, this Porsche.
However, despite a great stint by the 7-time Bathurst winner, the PHR Scuderia problems continued.
And
problems for the Mahir Al Gadri car. It doesn't look like it's fired up. They had problems with the car, clutch problems with the car when it first arrived here, the first 2 sessions. And it was only before the start of this warm-up session today that they actually got a decent clutch into the car. So he had slow practice, slow qualifying.
Yeah, I've got Jim Richards with me. We're looking deep into the cockpit here of the Porsche. Jim, can you throw any light on what Mahir's trying to do?
No, just that it won't start on the start for some reason, and they're not quite bump starting it.
No, you don't get much of a push start either, really.
No, uphill too, so...
Yeah. I guess for Mahir, his case or brief for the next few hours just to maintain that third, but we're dropping rapidly, aren't we?
Seeing it's only the second hour of a 24-hour race, I don't think there's any room to panic yet.
This is the most relaxed changeover I think we've seen all afternoon.
Well, it might be relaxed, but it's slow.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
The Graham Nash Chris Maris UK entry was now in the top 5, co-driven by Australia's Peter Floyd, Rob Wilson and Gary McDonald. But the closing speeds between the Group 1 cars and the smaller class cars were going to be an issue.
Whoa! One of the barrages sideways. 28's turned around, and how lucky was that? How lucky was that? He's just kissed the wall, kept it going, but that could have been an awesome moment. Now, this is what happened earlier. Just talk us through this, David.
Chris Maris dives up the inside. The barrage comes across the front. It goes left, it goes right. Chris stands on the brakes, and somehow he got through. Yeah, dear oh dear, that could have been a whole lot worse. And both cars really came out of that pretty lightly. But then at the Caltex chase, Chris Maris plunges off the circuit. Now, whether that little brush between the two did damage the Porsche, I'm not sure. But Chris there skating off the road. Just wonder whether a tyre may have gone down. Doesn't fight the car, but once it's gone on the grass, he doesn't suddenly wrench the wheel and try and get it back on. He lets the car flow, backs off the power, gets it back onto the circuit, and then heads into the pit lane.
David Brabham had stretched the fuel window in the Certec Porsche to almost 2 hours. His first stop, handing the race lead back to the Monaro.
Race leader in the pits, car 24, David Brabham, in for the first stop.
So the lead car in the pit lane. The refueling going on, you can't do any other work to it, particularly when the refueling goes on. You can do the driver change. David Brabham gets out, and Grant is down there to tell us what's happening.
Yeah, things going pretty smoothly, as you would expect. Interestingly, these guys ripped the steering wheel off, so to make the driver change easier. Darren Palmer, as you said, is getting into the car now. The belts are going on, the water drinking tube into his mouth, connecting up to the bottle. The radio's connected. Changing wheels and tyres, of course, and the fuel situation is really interesting. Just talking to the guys, that it has run much longer than they originally expected on the tank of gas.
In Group 10, the invitation class, the 2 German-entered BMWs from Dula Motorsport were 1st and 2nd in the class, 6th and 7th outright.
I didn't expect them to be that good this early, I have to confess, but yeah, Rob Wilson is 6th in number 15, Howard Redhouse is lying 7th overall, and the Group 10 situation is the 2 BMWs ahead of Warren Luff at the moment. He's 9th overall. Then Gary Young is 20th.
Yeah, Borg is then running 23rd outright. Peter Lemus in his Mirage also 32nd outright. Then Graham Moore and Parker back there in 34th outright. But Warren
just 2 hours in, Porsche driver David Brabham was very comfortable with the Certec Porsche.
Yeah, David, it's been a pretty comfortable and smooth stint for you so far.
Yeah, I suppose I can't really complain. I mean, didn't want to get too involved with what the start was going to be. Just wanted to get some space, get the tyres up to temperature, get the brakes up, and get into a good rhythm. And as it turned out, I ended up in the lead and just set a certain lap time. The Yokohama tyres are running really consistent. I'm really impressed by it. And the car, Porsche's just running very reliably. Everything's working well, so pretty good.
Jimmy Richards, team manager Paul Cruikshank from Scuderia PHR watching on and wondering, I suppose, how we're going to get this Porsche fired up. Engine change going on in the garage at the moment for the John Bauer Ferrari, but this is a blow to what's been a horrible weekend for this team.
That Porsche that we're just talking about, the 99 Jim Richards car, now 4 laps adrift of the leader, and in comes the Graham Nash Motorsport Porsche. Chris Maris clambers out of the car, and Grant is down there.
Yeah, problems here. They were unable to get the cars up on the jacks. There was problems with the driver initially, and there is a problem with the fuel system as well. It is not fitting. This is unbelievable. The drive. Well, the hose does in fact reach. We can't quite work out why it won't go in. It doesn't appear as though. So the team working frantically. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do here. If they've overshot the bay, they're going to have to reverse, which will have to be done by pushing the car back. But of course, they're going to have to wait until they put the tyres back on, which now, of course, means that they're going to have to do the fuel stop after they've been through the tyre process. Normally, of course, those two things happening at the same time.
I just wonder whether a mechanic started to work on the car before he should, and really you're not meant to refuel and do any other work at the same time, but they're going to send him out. What are they going to do? Driver change has happened.
Now trying to push the car back.
Yeah, it's not looking too good, this.
Got to pick up where the fuel system is. Is it under the front bonnet of the Porsche? No, there it is now. So now the fuel goes in.
Yeah, he just missed his marks by the looks of that. The good news was that there is no problem with the left front of that car. They just changed the wheel, as you would normally. Now they're filling it up. It's been a costly pit stop, but over a 24-hour race, not that bad.
No, that's right. They'll be able to recover from that, certainly. Yeah, I mean, it's an inconvenience more than a problem. Graham Nash, you saw in the background, the bearded team boss, and he'll have a word or two to say to everybody about it. But Graham's on a lot of these 24-hour races as well, and he's been very successful. One of his cars, the Celine, has won the British GT Championship this year, and Graham Nash knows how to get through one of these races, so he'll tell the mechanics what they should have done, and then talk them up a bit. They'll be fine for the next pit stop. And Martin Short brings this magnificent Mosler down the pit lane.
And third outright. Let's not forget that this car is running inside the top 3, and it's still, in fact, it's 1 lap now down off the lead lap. 46 to 45 laps down to, of course, on lap 46. But Martin Short would be ecstatic so far about the performance of this car.
I think he'll be very pleased with that, yeah, because it's gone well so far, and the driver change there going on. Look at the mechanics as well. If you catch a glimpse at the front of the car, they're sweeping out any debris that it might have picked up. We know how important it is not to have a car overheating at Bathurst, don't we, HRT? Well, the Mosler team as well, trying to make sure that nothing has been scooped into the front of the car. Number 99 Porsche, though, in the pit garage at the moment, and there's always a bit of your heart that sinks when the car goes from the pit lane to the pit garage. The problems persist as far as the PHR Scuderia is concerned. Martin Short there strapping his co-driver in. It's not that easy getting in and out of the Mosler, of course, because it's a pretty tight cockpit you've got to clamber in and out of.
There's bars everywhere.
Yeah.
Bars everywhere trying to get into that thing.
Bars everywhere, you still can't get a drink, but the door is closed. And Martin Short, who of course isn't just the driver, he's the man that owns the team and runs the team. He's hooked up this weekend with Daryl Dixon and the Fortec Motorsport guys, and Martin only has 2 of his regular engineers here, so he's learning about working with new people. And there, Maher Al-Gadri, out of the car, talking to Jimmy Richards. The Mosler rejoins.
Disappointed look on his face too. They stand there helplessly talking about what may have been.
Yeah.
Jim Richards looking on.
I think the guy that you've probably got to feel the most sorry for is Tony Rafters, the team owner. I mean, he's put an enormous amount into the development of prancing horse racing in the past 2 seasons. They do run a very, very professional show. Desperately wanted to win this race, believed he had the cars and the team and certainly the calibre of drivers, but for all to come done effectively within the first 2 hours of the race is a damn shame.
And seldom do you see one of the PHR Scuderia cars have a problem with reliability, and 2 of them within a couple of laps would be just totally unheard of. You wouldn't bet on it.
So the word is from Holden that they can expect the Garth Tander race leading Monaro in probably 5 to 6 laps from now.
He's got a 1-minute lead over Darren Palmer. He's out there in the Brabham car at the moment. Car number 24, 1 minute and 3 seconds to be precise.
Now bear in mind as well that whoever takes over from Garth Tander will be able to do comparable lap times, whereas Darren Palmer isn't as quick as David Brabham. So that gap should open up between those two. But Monaro should have the advantage for this second hour of the race, the second stint. Looking at some of the midfield cars making their way through the S's and the VB Dipper, 35, the BMW still going pretty well, that car.
Yeah, doing a good job. In fact, Matthew Marsh is behind the wheel at the moment.
Well, Martin Short, you're almost the ugly duckling, not you yourself, but the Mosler of this 24-hour. You must be pretty happy.
Are we waiting for it to turn into a swan then?
We are, with a podium. Tomorrow would be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, that's the whole game plan. We took the start and I'd already had a chat with David Brabham, and I said, I'm going to give you no trouble, we're just going to stick to our own plan, so you go and do your thing. Yeah. So off he went, and I couldn't believe the pace of the Monaro and the Ferrari, and lo and behold, there's a tail in there itself. So I just cruising around in 225s, 226s, the other lads are going to back off a little bit more, and we're just going to go round and round and round. That's what 24-hour racing is about. Bit concerned about the Certec Porsche, because that's just done 1 hour and 45 minutes on one tank full, which is pretty staggering. So I think they'll probably, if they stick at that, they're going to be very, very hard to beat. But there's a long, long way to go.
Group 9 for production cars under $80,000 was a BMW benefit.
So let's have a look at Class 9, Clark Quinn, the race leader. Tony Quinn's young boy from Queensland, doing a tremendous job in 21st outright. Then Melinda Price in the pool ride, Honda S2000, also doing a great job. These are effectively production touring cars. We go back to Roken in the Toyota MR2. He's sharing with Colin Osborne, 27th outright, but running third in class. Scotty Loadsman back there in his Commodore that had earlier problems. R22 coming into the pits at the moment. That's the Dennis and Debbie Chapman car, which is running in Group 3, which is effectively from 2 to 3.2 litre Group N touring cars. So they're having a pretty good run, Group 3.
Making their way down pit lane at the moment towards their pit garage. Long run for them. Got to do it at 40 kilometres an hour. That's pit lane speed limit for the 24-hour. It's cleared to go out onto the track. It was a drive-through penalty, in actual fact. Saw the stop sign out. So must have been for speeding in pit lane or something like that during their pit stop. They're back out onto the track. Drive-through penalties, of course, not quite as critical in a 24-hour race as they are in the sprint. Certainly can throw off the team strategy, though, and that's probably where the penalty comes in itself.
Well, the class field, 28 international drivers have started the very first 24-hour endurance race at Mount Panorama. 8 international entries and some classic winners too. 7 times winner Jimmy Richards, Alan Grice, who's co-driving the David Brabham Porsche along with Darren Palmer, has won it twice. Stephen Richards has won it twice. John Bow has won it twice. Peter Fitzgerald, winner of the first 12-hour race with Alan Grice in a Toyota Supra many, many years ago. David Brabham, winner in 1997 in the BMW. As we said before, Garth Tander, a previous winner. Brad Jones, desperate to be a winner. Second more times than he can remember, but is still waiting to crack that big win.
Jack L's good on screen at the moment. That's one of the mirages that Ali was just telling you about. Watch out for. Certainly with that man behind the wheel, he's a hard campaigner. World Motorsport entry, currently in 25th position. Makes its way down into the Caltex Abilene Chase. This guy started racing this season for the first time, Craig, and has just grown in ability and racecraft as well.
Absolutely, yes. He's a former Sydney Rugby League player for the Roosters, and takes his motorsport very seriously. Running fourth in in fact, 5th in his class now in Group 10, the Invitational class, for these sensational little Mitsubishi Mirages. Sensational cars, 140 kilowatts, about 900 kilos in weight, and quite well positioned, I would think, to last 24 hours around Mount Panorama. Monaro's due in about 2 laps, we say. So Garth Tander currently leading the first ever Bathurst 24-hour endurance race in the Monaro, 4:27, due in within the next 1 or 2 laps, folks. So that'll be very interesting. Probably a driver change, no question.
You have to be very kind to Jack Elsgood when you're doing commentary, because he generally brings half the football team with him. Now here he comes down into pit lane, the Monaro, for their first ever pit stop.
They had 1.5 minutes in hand. They should get back out, I would have thought, with some of that lead still intact. So let's see. Team goes to work.
That, of course, is a normal pit stop as opposed to the one with the flat tyre earlier on in the race. Driver change taking effect. Tandra out of the car. All cool, calm and collected there with the Gary Rogers Motorsport team, Craig.
Yes, all looking pretty sharp at this stage. Grant?
The opportunity to have a good look under that front right wheel, the one that was damaged earlier on with that flat tyre, and the team all clapping now. So obviously pretty happy with that pit stop.
All right, so Garth Tander comes out now in the Just Cars Insurance Monaro as Australia takes on the world in this sensational endurance race at Mount Panorama. And comes out with his race lead intact. So great strategy, and particularly considering the flat tyre that he had early in the race and an unscheduled pit stop, they've done extremely well to now, of course, be the only car that's covered 54 laps, although the Darren Palmer, David Brabham Porsche would still be on the lead lap.
Starts its run up the hill. The first time that Stephen Richards gets a look at the track under race pace. Going to have to be on his game, but I think he's proven throughout his motorsport career that he is very much an endurance type racer. He adapts well to this style, and his first V8 supercar win in an endurance type race. He backed it up here at Mount Panorama not long after.
Just thinking as well, Gary Rogers must be able now to afford himself a wry smile when he looks up the pit lane and he thinks the problems that his car has had with the puncture and then compares that with what's going on for PHR. So I just wonder whether he's now starting to think, yeah, okay, you doubting Thomases, we've shown you.
So now with Garth Tander in pit lane, it's down to Grant Kenny.
Well, Garth, at this stage of the game, I know it's very early in a 24-hour race, but you'd have to say everything going to plan at the moment.
Yeah, Grant, absolutely spot on, other than having a flat tyre earlier, but guys fixed that up, and the car's fantastic, it really is, doing it easy, and yeah, really comfortable.
What was the story with the flat? Did you notice something, or did it go down slow, or was it quite a quick thing?
No, I think must have run over something, because there was no warning, and all of a sudden the steering started to go away, so I just backed off straight away and came to the pits, and the guy said, yeah, flat tyre, so just one of those things that happens, but didn't do any damage to the car, so everything's looking good.
I noticed they had a good look under there then when they were changing the tyre, but as you say, no damage, which is a good thing. You can't say as much for the Ferrari, though. You may or may not have heard they're at this stage looking like they're either out or having to at least change an engine.
Oh, that's a shame. I think the Ferrari is probably always a bit, wasn't sure whether they're going to go the distance, but to go out this early is really a shame for those guys. But yeah, still a long way to go for us, and we just look after the car and get through the night. That's going to be important, and then see how we come out in the morning.
Exactly, and what is the plan from here in terms of resting and those sort of things? Because I guess you know, it's a sort of sport where you have to be pin sharp in terms of alertness, and rest is something that and fatigue that can really impact on that. How are you going to go about getting enough rest and sleep in through the night?
I'll go back and have a drink and have a quick shower, then just lay down for a little while. Probably won't have a sleep after the first stint, but probably into the night part of the race, I'll probably have a snooze in between stints. And we got 3 guys at 1.5 hour stints or thereabouts, so we'll probably get about 3 or 4 hours sleep, which should be good through the night.
Okay, Garth, congratulations and good luck for the rest of the race.
Thanks, Grant. Cheers.
So Stephen Richards has taken over the drive now as the Just Cars Insurance Monaro continues to lead. So, David Addison, we're now 2 hours, 20 minutes into this 24-hour race. What are your thoughts?
A race full of surprises already. Who would have predicted the problems for PHR? Who would have thought that the Monaro would at the moment look like the dominant car? Who would have thought that David Brabham's Certec Porsche should have got so far on a tank of fuel? So many stories already, so many more to come.
And still looking good for car 24, you think?
I still think that the mechanical problems will hit the Monaro at some stage. Yes, it's a quick car, but I don't know that it's going to be able to go 24 hours trouble-free, and my money is still at the moment on the Certec Porsche for a win, yeah.
Sunset, and while the PHR Scuderia team were flat-out changing engines, dramas continued along pit lane.
Disappointing. The car was going so well. The team were right behind.
The car was fantastically prepared. We could have done with a bit more time to set up the car for the mountain. They were still having a bit of time to get the suspension right, and but I can't blame that. I think it's just one of those things that just happened.
Any chance of getting it put back together for this race, or is it pretty much put it in the box and send it home?
I think this is put it in the box and send it home, and then hope and pray they run the race again next year and we've now got some of the settings, and we'll be even better prepared.
So you're prepared to come back and give it another...
Oh, yeah. It's just a great place, a great mountain, and and the people here are the friendliest in the world to come motor racing with.
Anton, your car's just about to come in. Tell us why it's an unscheduled stop.
It's scheduled, but a little bit early. During the last part of my stint, I was pushed into the wall just coming out of the cutting by a fast Porsche. The left-hand wheel is towing out, and during this stop, we're going to put some new shoes on the car and try to get the alignment fixed.
How long do you reckon it will take to do that pit stop?
We're going to try to do that in no more than 1 minute.
Who's out in the car at the moment?
We've got Bob Hughes in the car, and he's really held it together, doing very respectable times, and we've managed to empty out that fuel tank, so things are reasonably on track.
Well, this was a car that was especially built for this 24-hour endurance race, an Evo 7 backed by Falcon tyres, built by Wayne Park in Queensland, built by Kevin Bell, the guy that's done the Porsche Cup car in Nations Cup this year. Also, of course, Anton co-driving the car. A lot of time, a lot of effort has gone into this car, an immense amount of preparation. It's such a shame to see it all undone.
Pit stop there by the crew, car getting out nice and smoothly, and here comes the BMW M3 Coupe. Well, I tell you what, the BMW mark here this weekend, Craig, has been very strong. Reliability, performance, and everything go their way.
Yeah, you can just see how many are in the top 10 now. This particular car has been doing very well, running in Group 2 and driven by Vijay Angelo and, of course, Australian driver Rick Shaw as well, and international driver Matthew Marsh also co-driving the car.
I've been lucky enough to race at Macau, Nürburgring and Spa. This circuit is one of the great circuits of the world, no doubt.
Any problems with the sun coming into your eyes, coming up pit straight?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of problems with that. I had my endless visor on and I pulled it down, and that got the sun out of my eyes. It was very lucky I did that, actually, because especially going into the cutting into second gear there, it's very difficult to see where you're going.
Always think on the positive side, it's going to be fun come dawn going over the top of Skyline.
It's funny you said that, because I was thinking exactly the same thing, because I think I'm in the car at dawn. But actually I realised the sun comes up on the other side of the earth, so we should be all right.
Here comes the Mosler into pit lane. There it is there at the moment, being refueled. Good performing car this weekend. A bit of a surprise packet to see it still well and truly up in the top 5.
Yeah, a car that's really created an enormous amount of interest here at Mount Panorama. A superb looking car. 12 road cars have so far been built by Warren Mosler, the guy behind the project. 5.7 litre Chevy Corvette based engine, and an extremely good car, well driven too by Mark Pashley, one of the drivers in this car.
Just gets better and better. It's been really good. I've enjoyed it. The more I've driven, the more I've enjoyed it. Starting to learn the mountain a little bit now, so we're still running fairly conservatively.
Everybody out in the crowd, all they want to do is come along and see the Mosler. What's it been like for the crew to try and work around that sort of stuff this weekend?
Oh, they've all been great. They've really enjoyed the reception we've had and the following. I've had people waving to me out there, and I'm sure they're not relatives, but it's been great.
Adopted friends. Tell me, is the car still feeling strong? Do you still feel confident about being there come the 24-hour mark?
24 hours is a long time. The car does feel strong at the moment. We're going to obviously take it steady. Whether or not we need to back off a little bit more, we'll have to see. It's such a long time, and as we can see, obviously, I've noticed going around there's a number of cars missing now, so I need to have a look at the results and see how we're doing.
This is a car doing well too. It's the Brett Peters championship winning Subaru, the new generation 2001 model Subaru, with John Falk just stepping out of the car.
Mate, the car is absolutely fantastic. I've done a double stint, and the car's as good when I got out as when I got in. Tyres a little bit greasy, but mate, absolutely credit to Rod Dawson. Fantastic car.
Ray, you've just stepped out of the Commodore. You look like you've done a bit of work out there.
Yeah, it's pretty hot actually, although it's not a hot night, but the track's great, and it's great to drive here in the dark. My first time ever here in the dark. I've raced here about 6 or 8 times, I guess, but first time in the dark, and I love it.
As I said, you've raced in a few 24 hours. What does it feel like to be racing in a 24-hour here at Mount Panorama?
I think it's absolutely fabulous, and it's congratulations to Ross Palmer and his team to put this on and underwrite it, because that's a brave thing to do, and he's the first one to ever do it. I think he deserves a pat on the back. Good on you, Ross.
Mount Panorama at night can be a difficult place, as Peter Floyd found out. You're on board with him in the Porsche at the moment, coming down into Pullright Forest Elbow, and look at this. Around he goes, crunch! Just skimming the wall on the way through.
Yeah, not only that, the car was quite damaged too. He turned it around, got back to pit lane, but unfortunately he'd crunched the rear end of the car, the exhaust system, and also the exhaust system then started to melt the plastic bumper bar, and they've got a new name for Peter Floyd now. They call him Chucky because the fumes got to him, and would you believe he threw up, vomited in his full face helmet, and had to come in and hand over to Rod Wilson. The car at one stage was up to third outright earlier in the day, which was a great drive of Rod Wilson.
Thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you to, I'm sure, Rod Wilson saying exactly the same thing.
And problems continued too. They couldn't actually get third gear on the down change, so they've had to struggle with this car pretty much most of the evening, trying to short shift it from effectively fourth back to second. They could get into third on the up change, okay, but not on the down change, which really, of course, cost them about 5 or 6 seconds a lap in time.
You think about how difficult it is behind the wheel of this car at the moment. Looking up ahead, you can see that there's not a great deal of warning, particularly as you make your way up the mountain when you come up behind slower cars. It must be an almighty task for the drivers to compete with.
Yeah, it really gives you a great idea too of the speed differential between the outright Group 1 cars and the smaller class cars. And of course, over the top of the mountain at night time, these cars are still touching, close to 200 kilometres per hour through McPhillamy just before Skyline, and superb little green paddles you can see from the volunteer marshals that have been hanging out over the fence all weekend to give the drivers an idea of where they are over night time. Hard on the brakes now and down through the dipper.
Incredibly difficult to try and pick up your apex in the dark. Keep an eye on the vehicles in front of you. At least the brake lights stand out, so you know when they're jumping on the anchors nice and early.
Lighting's pretty good. Drivers are saying the lighting around here of a night time has been fairly well done. They tend to miss a few apexes at the corner, but once you get into a rhythm, you come through light parts of the track into dark parts of the track. That's the most difficult thing. But threading your way through the traffic, relying on the flag marshals at night, is really a big part of this 24-hour endurance race.
The biggest discipline they face is not so much the fact that the bad lighting. We know the lighting is good. It's the new dimensions that you get by racing of a night. A lot of these drivers haven't had the experience of night racing, and those that have are certainly stepping up and running away with the challenge at the moment.
So Peter Floyd behind the wheel now of the Graham Nash Motorsport Porsche GT3 RS, through the chase, down on the Dunlop Bridge, and heading down to the short pit straight one more time.
The Ferrari engine change was complete, and with the car back on track, the team was hoping to salvage a finish at least.
Paul, you're a man of your word. You said the Ferrari would be out back on the track by about 9 o'clock. It was 8 minutes past 9. It's back out there. How's it going?
It's going really good. They got 3.5 hours. They're a pretty difficult engine to change, so it's a fantastic effort. So, but everything's going good. So, John went out and did like half an hour in the car just to make sure everything's fine, and now we're just rotating the other guys through now. So John Tulin's in it, so he's coming up to speed good. So yeah, our bad day has started to come a little bit better for us after all the disastrous start. But no, we're coming good, and the Porsche steaming along beautifully now too. So
the CompuAir Magna that had run inside the top 10 was also struggling with various problems.
Mate, I've just become the world's biggest expert on changing fuses. And that said, I reckon I'm probably the quickest at changing belts now too, because I'm changing belts, changing fuses. Every time I exit the pit lane over here, I look like a total jerk. What can I do?
The car looked so strong earlier on today.
Hey, the car was perfect. We're cruising. We're honestly cruising. Like, qualifying, we didn't really get a qualifying run. We weren't fast, couldn't get laps in, but that was all right. The car was strong, looking good. We're cruising. It was really looking good, but that's the way it goes. We're never going to be as fast as the other, I don't know, 8 or 9 cars in front of us, but we're relying on them falling over. If they fell over, we were there to pick up the pieces, but we're the ones that have fallen over.
As the race was into the 6th hour, Matt Wheeland, co-driving the Jim Richards Cooper's Porsche, reported another problem.
Yeah, the problem was suddenly the water come off, and I had to overbrake, go to the sand, and that's the reason why I'm back here in the pits.
We have a shock. I'm going to apply for a job in commentary, I think. Matt was come over the top of Skyline, and he said a slower car indicated to overtake on the left, which is on the outside over there, and he's come over the top, and they've run out of room over there. So it's unfortunate, but it's also there's some driver error in there. There's no need to pass over the top there in a 24-hour race. So I'm a little bit disappointed because we're clawing our way back into it, and it's undone a fair bit of hard work. So it's disappointing for everybody.
What damage have we got to the car?
Two front, the centre radiator and the left-hand radiator, and some bit of underbody damage, but everything else is okay. So we've been stopped for about 12 minutes, and we'll probably be about another 8 or 10 minutes we'll be going.
161 laps. Normally at Bathurst we'll be saying it's the end of the race, but it's just after 11 o'clock on Saturday night, and we've still got 17 hours left to go. That's not a win for Alan Grice. There's still plenty more work to be done.
The John Bow Ferrari was now at least turning quick lap times as the clock approached midnight. But the PHR Scuderia Voodoo continued with another engine failure and fire in the Ferrari when Paul Morris was behind the wheel.
It looks like the engine is the same problem as the first engine. It's a chain for the oil pump drive. So it's been shocking because the guys did a 3.5-hour engine change, which is exceptionally quick because they're not a very nice thing to change. So yeah, it's a shocking day, but we've still got a Porsche going, so I suppose that's something.
The Holden Monaro safety car was dispatched at just after midnight to retrieve the Ferrari and once again bring the field under control. The first ever Bathurst 24-hour race was always going to be a test of the best. And despite reclaiming the race lead prior to sunset, the Holden Monaro was also back in the pits with fuel tank pickup problems.
We've got a fuel pressure problem, and I think one of the lift pumps in the tank is becoming operative, but it could have been worse, and it's only early days yet. There's a long way to go.
Minor problem, you get it back out onto the track, no problem?
Oh, no, we can fix it okay. I mean, it's one of those things you wish hasn't happened, but, it has happened, so we've got to try and do our best.
With Brabham back in the lead, the Certec Porsche was again looking good. Co-driver and twice Bathurst winner Alan Grice was behind the wheel and turning quick times before handing over to F3 star Darren Palmer for a double stint in the early morning. Nighttime on Mount Panorama was something special. The atmosphere was unique, the crowd quite large. This was a different motor racing event, unlike anything seen in Australia before. The sight of Porsche, Monaro and the world's fastest road cars across the top of the mountain was breathtaking. Fans couldn't get close enough to the action. 8 hours into the race and a long stop for the Donut King Nissan of Greg Hayson. An engine change for the Pearson Brame Mazda.
Well, there was a problem with the engine management system, which caused a backfire through the turbochargers. As a result, the backfire caused the second turbo shaft to shear and break off. So with these RX-7s, because they're such tight, compact sports cars, it's actually quicker to change a complete engine than try and change the turbochargers. So we did the complete engine change in 3 hours flat, and we're very happy to be back on the track again.
Despite an earlier crash with Herman Tilke behind the wheel, Melinda Price was still running fourth in Group 9 in the Honda.
We got off to a good start, but now we've had a bit of trouble and we're a few laps down, so the more hours we've got to catch up, the better.
Now, driving in the dark with the lights is something you're used to having run at the Nürburgring 24-hour, but now you're on home turf here at Bathurst. How good's this?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I love driving in the night. After the accident, our headlights were a bit like this, so it's not quite so much fun because I can't see as well, but no, it's great.
Car 35, the VJ Angelo BMW, was still running strong to lead the class.
At the moment, we've had absolutely nothing go wrong, and the car's just ticking along like a clock. It's fantastic. It feels really good. I've just done my second stint then, done my fastest time then, and which is expected in the cold night air, we go a little bit quicker. But the car feels as good now as what it did on the first lap when I did the start.
Almost half race distance, and the number 6 Graham Nash Porsche, driven by Chris Maris at the time, was out. Severe damage caused after colliding again with the Lemus Rose Brangwyn Mirage.
He just came on the radio that said he'd gone into the tyre wall heavy, and then another car had hit him, but I haven't had a chance to speak to him personally to see what happened yet.
You guys had a bit of a close scare early on in the race with one of the Mirages up in the mountain, is that right?
That's right, it was the same driver. He didn't realise which way he was going to go, but Chris is very experienced. He just hung on to see which way it was going to go, then go the other way. Well, it's motor racing, and anybody that's involved in motor racing could understand. But not only that, this circuit is one of the best in the world. It's not only so nice to be here with everybody, it's a challenging circuit for the teams as well, and it's just a nice way to finish off our year.
One of the great things about night racing is this. Look closely at the wheels of these cars. You can see the brake discs glowing. That's what the crowd loves to see in night racing.
There's the Walls, Cribben, Roland Hill, Commodore coming through as well. This car not having a great weekend. The Barry Morecambe, John Woodbury, Graham Alexander. Brand new Evo 7. Problems quite early in the night.
The American Mosler, which had surprised many, was still in the top 3, but was now struggling with clutch problems.
We were just all cheering because we just made halfway point and congratulating ourselves, and then I'm coming in the pit, I've got no clutch. Oh, bloody great.
So far, so good. It's been going very well for you?
Yeah, that's the first time we've had a problem with the car. So we're obviously going to have to look very carefully at it. It's not the kind of thing, it's going to be quite difficult in the pit stops, and you know, if there's a problem on track and we have to come to a stop, you know, if it hasn't cleared itself, it's obviously going to be a problem.
Okay, we'll let you carry on.
When's that bloody Monaro going to break?
We're looking into it.
Do something about it, will you? And then if you can do something about the Certec Porsche, I'd be very grateful.
Right.
The Holden Monaro was at one stage 11 laps down on the Brabham Porsche, but was closing rapidly until being caught out with the spinning BMW of Debbie Chapman.
Well, Nathan got punted by someone, I'm not sure who, spun him around, and then when he was off the track, the car stalled and it wouldn't start. And he had to get out of the car to rock it to get it, those gear changes. It wouldn't come out of gear, so he did that. Full credit to him to use his head to do so. And he got it back into gear and got it started and got it back in here, and we've now fueled her up, made a tyre change, and we're on our way again.
The damage was more superficial, but again, time was lost getting the guard off the tyre. Also in the pits was the Osborne Motorsport MR2. The team had already faced an engine change, and all down pit lane the hours were taking their toll. Sunrise, and the Porsche GT3 RS of David Brabham was still pushing hard, but the gap was closing. Darren Palmer had put in a double stint in the Porsche to maintain the race lead, but the Monaro, once 11 laps down, was now only 5 laps behind. At 7:30 in the morning, the car came in for a brake change and to replace a broken drive belt.
Spat another drive belt off. I think there must be a bit of crap out on the circuit, and it's picking up under the wedges in the belt, and it's throwing the belt off. But as luck turned out, it probably hasn't been such a bad stop. We had another brake pad change to do, so we did that at the same time. So whilst it would have been nicer under the pace car, obviously, it wasn't too bad if we could get it done that way. And pardon me, the boys fired up as they always do.
Within minutes, the Mosler, still running strong, was in with a blown right-hand front tyre, but the VJ Angelo BMW was now in the top 6.
Fortunately, we've been able to do it just by looking after the car and cruising around, short shifting all the time, looking after the brakes. We're exactly where we want to be, really, so really comfortable situation to be in.
Now, you've done a couple of Nürburgrings. How's this comparing?
It was a bit tough for me because my first stint in the race was in the dark, and I didn't actually manage to do any dark driving here in qualifying. So it was pretty tough going out there, pretty much green in the dark. I'd done 10 laps of this track in the dry and straight out in the dark. So from that point of view, it was probably the toughest thing I've had to do.
Car 220, the second Donut King Nissan driven through the night by Tony Quinn and Grant Denyer, was now running inside the top 20 after being last at the end of the first lap when the crew left off the radiator cap. Part of a 3-car Nissan assault on the race by Haysom Motorsport, the cars had run well all night, surprising many of the more fancy GT performance runners.
I really didn't want to miss this event. It was the first one. As a kid, you know, I was, I think, 8 or 9 years old when the 12 hours were going on, and I used to sit here and hang over the fence and go, God, this has got to be me one day. Just to finish would be awesome. And the opportunity came along with Haysom Motorsport to run in not very masculine car. It's a pink 200 SX. Gorgeous. Oh, it's just lovely, isn't it? But look, it really is quite an awesome experience.
Now, this track's daunting at the best of times. How about at night?
At night, I actually did the graveyard shift. I started at 9 o'clock and finished at 4 in the morning. The other guys go, oh yeah, you know, yeah, he can do that one. And I was actually quite amazed because you don't have peripherals. All you do is you concentrate on the road in front of you. So it's actually quite easy. Had a Roo jumped out, you'd never have a chance of seeing them. Apparently there was a whole bunch of them up at Forest Elbow. I'm just glad none of them jumped out.
Welcome, folks, to the very first ever Bathurst 24-hour endurance race, live from Mount Panorama, 3 hours west of Sydney. And this is your race leader, Car 24, David Brabham, well and truly in command. David Addison.
It's a British team, but of course it's got 3 Australian and 1 Austrian driver in this crew. It's David Brabham, Alan Grice, Darren Palmer and Manfred Jurasch. Rob Sherl, the man that's running this team. And I know it's tempting fate a little bit, but this car has not missed a beat so far in the race. Some of the other fancied runners have hit problems, but this Porsche just keeps going.
Certec Porsche, of course, and as you say, they've had an absolute trouble-free run since the start of the race, and not so much, of course, the same kind of run that the Monaro has had, the early race leader. They've had a number of problems, and when we look at the time monitor now, some 5 laps off the race lead.
We've had 17 hours of the race. Yeah, the Monaro has been in and out of the pits with a variety of problems. It started with a puncture, it's had accident damage, it's had to have a whole new fuel cell and fuel system, it's had a stop to replace the brakes on that car as well. When it's running, it is the quickest thing out there, and it is a joy to watch. In contrast, you've got the Porsche that just keeps going at a nice, consistent pace. Now, there is the Monaro. You'll be able to see the damage on the right-hand side of that car. It came across a spinning BMW in the night, and there was a fair amount of damage done to the Monaro. It doesn't look as immaculate as once it did, but boy, that sure is one heck of a car across the top of the mountain.
And of course the time's 2:14.32 set this morning, so the car's still got plenty of speed.
That's right, and of course you've got quick drivers in there, and the beauty, as we said at the start of the race, for the Gary Rogers Motorsport team is they've got 4 evenly matched drivers in there, whereas as far as the Certec Porsche is concerned, Manfred Jurasch slower than the others. Now Manfred Jurasch was only down to do 2 stints, one at night, one in the daylight. He's done both of those now, so from here on in, it's Brabham, Grice and Palmer that will get the Porsche through to the finish.
Lap 3:59, 2:14.32, the lap time set by Garth Tander. Grant Boyd, you've been pounding the pits all night too. Plenty of action down there and some great stories.
Yeah, there's very few teams that haven't suffered some sort of little indiscretion, particularly this car on screen at the moment, but what a great crew. The Monaro crew have worked tirelessly. When the car has had a problem, Craig, everything's been cool, calm and collected. They've had to do a variety of different things to the car, but there's been no stress. They've been able to get it back out onto the track, and the drivers are doing such a good job. Nice, consistent lap times, but they're not overstressing the car, and that's what you need to do to get to the end of a 24-hour.
And the key thing, of course, 4 different manufacturers in the top 4, which I think is a great story. You've got Porsche leading Monaro, leading the American car, the Mosler, and of course that sensational little BMW car 16 from Group 10, the Invitational class.
The Mosler has just got itself back up into 3rd place, mainly because the BMW you mentioned, number 16, the Duller Motorsport car, has had a pit stop. Dominic Beninka handing it over to Peter Hannon. The Mosler, though, is not without its own problems. That's been in and out of the pits during the night with a clutch problem, and it's been rather hesitant as well to get away after it stops. When it's going okay, although Mark Pashley was reporting a vibration a little while ago, and he thought it might have been a prop shaft that was giving up on the car. Martin Short, the team boss, was on the radio, and he said, keep going. If it gets any worse, then shout, but just stay out there. And now they've got the car back up into 3rd place. And remember, as far as the Mosler team is concerned, they want to finish, and if they can finish on the podium, that would be a great result.
Really good time too, like lap 284, it did a 2:21 flat. It's still lapping in the 2:25s now, so it's been able to maintain a really consistent race pace.
Yeah, Martin Short does the quicker lap times. The instruction to the other drivers is just do a good stint, don't stress it too much, and don't get caught up in the traffic, and more importantly than anything is keep off the curbs, and then you're not putting too much stress on the drive of that car.
And I think one of the key things too, Grant Boyton, is there's so many unknowns in the first ever 24-hour race at Mount Panorama, but really only 5 official retirements, which is quite stunning.
Unbelievable. I got up early this morning and went to the timing monitor and had a look and thought my eyes were deceiving me. These cars, yeah, a couple of them are quite, down on lap times. A few of them have had major problems. They've been into the pits, but wow, great efforts by these teams to keep them out on the track. David Brabham is your race leader. Garth Tander in 2nd. Then we go back to Pashley. Hannon in 4th position. Then Wilson and Buckingham rounding out the top 6.
Then McKay, first of the GT Performance cars in Class 5. That's for GT Performance cars under $150,000. Wayne Russell doing a great job at the BMW M3 Coupe to be 2nd in the class. Gary Deans and the Subaru WRX STI. Again, 3 different manufacturers there in the top 3. Then the Nissan 350Z of Mark Williamson. 4 different manufacturers there. 5 if you include Trevor Haynes' Tickford Falcon. And then Ross Halliday. So a great mix of cars.
We go to 13th. It's Robinson. Group 10 doing a good job. A couple of the Group 10s have really surprised here this weekend. And we go back to Russell in 14th position, one of the Group 9 competitors. Moore in 15th, Elsgood in 16th, Hansen in 17th, and Stuber rounding out the top 18.
19th, back to Kevin Bell, who's running the Mitsubishi Evo 7. Then John Waters in car 20. Mike Kilpatrick also doing a great job in one of the invitational cars back there in 21st. Walls in 22nd. Roken in the Toyota MR2. John Roken back there in 23rd spot. And Ray Ayton rounding out the top 24. So with 378 laps down, David Addison, at the lap times, what's the prediction for 24 hours? How many laps will they cover?
It's a good question. Round about 5:50 is my current prediction, but I'm willing to be proved wrong on this. It rather depends, of course, whether David Brabham feels he might have to up the pace a little bit, because the gap has been coming down a little in that last stint between the Porsche and the Holden Monaro, mainly because of Manfred Juras's slower lap times compared to those of Garth Tander. Now, there are still 5 laps of a gap between them, but all it would take is for one problem for that Porsche, and you can never rule it out. I know that Porsches are pretty durable cars, but so far they've got away without any problems at all, and it's almost too good to be true. And if there is going to be a problem for Certec, it's going to hit them at exactly the wrong moment. It will hit them when they just start to relax a little bit and they think, we're nearly there, and then something out of the blue will hit them. They're tired mechanics, of course, at this stage, and then they've got to perform very well. Hopefully nothing will go wrong for that car, of course, but it may well happen, and that's going to help the Monaro. We were saying, weren't we, at the start of the race, what the chances would be of the Monaro, never mind winning, just being there at the finish. And I've got to say, they have been very impressive. They've surprised me with how well the car has run and for how long the car has run.
Well built by Gary Rogers Motorsport. A lot of money, of course, being thrown to it by Holden. A real serious effort. The first international racing debut of the Monaro, so they couldn't come here and half do it. They've certainly done it properly, and no doubt second out right at the moment. They'd have to be very happy with that. Our third place car, the Mosler, is back into the pits, and one would think, David, maybe not a scheduled stop. Ali's on the spot.
Well, it's just a driver changeover at the moment. Things seem to be running fine with this beautiful ugly duckling, if I can call it. Martin Short jumping in. This is going to be his 5th stint in the car. So, of course, drivers only allowed a maximum of 9 hours, and this will be him going into this, his 6 hours of driving, and Mark Pashley just getting out now. I think that was his 4th stint. So they're keeping it nice and short, I guess, to keep themselves as fresh as you can be on a 24-hour event.
361 laps covered, so they're certainly falling away, but still well and truly in contention for a podium finish.
And why does everyone call it an ugly duckling? I think it looks fantastic. It's nice, it's low, it looks racy, it's got a beautiful sound to it. Delanta was driving it in one of the night sessions last night, and I said, how is the car going across the top of the mountain? And he said, it's fantastic. All the crowd up there have got their little fires going. They wave. I'm dipping the lights as I go across the top of the mountain. I thought to myself, don't let the boss hear you say that, for goodness sake. Concentrate on the road. They're having the time of their life, the team.
I've got a feeling, though, that this car has got a problem, because just knowing the way that Martin Short works, I would have imagined that he would have gone through another cycle of stops and put the other drivers in the car, and then he would take it over towards the end of the race. He may still get in it for the finish, but the fact that Martin has got in it now, having only handed it over at the previous stop, just makes me think that he's getting into it now to assess what the problem is that Mark Pashley was reporting earlier on.
You have to wonder if that clutch is still causing the problems that they've had right throughout the night. Sitting down there in pit lane at the moment. The crew don't seem to be overly concerned with any major part of it. Maybe you're right, maybe it's just going to take it out, run it over a few laps and see what they can determine.
Yeah, Martin knows the car better than anybody, so get an expert's view, I think, could be the idea here.
So David Brabham continues to lead in car 24, the Porsche, well and truly in command from, of course, Garth Tander in the Holden Monaro, 427 cubic inches, 7 litres of horsepower and pure testosterone, co-driven by Stephen Richards, Nathan Pretty, Cameron McConville, then Redhouse, Hannon and Beninka in that sensational little BMW. The Mosler MT900R we've been talking about, Donaldson, Brooks, Wilson, Donaldson again. The Angelo Shaw Marsh Buckingham BMW M Coupe doing a tremendous job. Then the first of the GT Performance cars, Boylan White McKay from Russell, Cramp, Holt and Edwards, back there in 9th spot.
Yeah, it's the Peters, Dean, Rubison Fork car. They've worked hard on that right throughout the night. They've still got it out on the track. 10th, it's Haynes, King, Schumacher and Phillip. The Pilkington, Mitchell, Williamson and Goonan car in 11th position. 12th, Anderson, Boatwright, Ross Armand and Russ Halliday. That team's work hard. 13th, Young, Quarterly and Robson. Loadsman, Luff, Lintott and Russell. Those guys overnight were like just children let loose in a sweet shop. Moore, Townsend, Quinn and Blanche in 15th. Then we go to Borgs, Shepherd and Elsgood rounding out the 16.
Ali Dryer's in the pits.
Well, with me, I've got Mark Pashley, who's just jumped out of the Mosler, and we were trying to speculate on what sort of ongoing clutch problems you might be having. It's still a little twitchy, is it?
Actually, there's no clutch at all. It's the English cricket of clutches. There's nothing at all. We've been driving it just very, very gently and only using just a few gears.
Right.
So there's no clutch left.
Yeah. How does that feel, I guess, on certain parts of the circuit? What are you doing to overcome that?
It's clenching everything. In certain parts before you come down the Big Dipper, you're just hoping that you can sneak the gear right to coast through it. I'm not using any low gears at all, so I'm very, very slow through some parts of the track and just being very gentle on the car.
To give you an idea of how people, some say never give up, the car 32 Holden Commodore has got a drive shaft problem with only about 6 hours to go, so they whip it in the garage, get ready to change it, and they will be back out on the circuit as soon as that has been done.
Excellent. So never give up, never say die.
The Quirks refrigeration BMW M3 continued to lead the Group 5 for GT performance cars, but 24-hour veteran Peter McKay believed this was the toughest of them all.
And this is probably the toughest because you don't ever get a break here. At Nürburgring there's a couple of long straights so you can at least relax. I know it's longer and there's a lot more corners, but here it's unrelenting. Even in the straights you really have to concentrate, because if you're passing a car or a car's passing you get the wind buffeting and it knocks you around. So you really have to be on it, and the concentration levels, you just can't let slip.
What about the road dropping away from underneath you at night? How hard's that?
It's all right. Well, I think it's all right because I've been around here a lot of laps. But for a newcomer, I reckon it'd be pretty damn spooky. And some of the visiting drivers I know have been pretty slow over the top during the dark hours. Yeah, it wouldn't be easy for them. It wouldn't be easy for anybody who hasn't been here before.
It's rather ironic that reliability has been a key issue of the M3, yet it's leading class.
Yeah, they were niggling things, so the guys have obviously sorted it all out, and you have to think that BMW got a pretty good record on reliability, so and engineering. But we're not there yet, but we're looking all right at the moment.
What would it mean to get a class win here for you this weekend?
It'd be a blast. I'd be over the moon, but we're not counting our chickens. We've got, as we speak, we've got 3 hours.
A couple of them that have worked right through the night, though.
Well, especially this team, one of the Prancer Ferrari guys, and you can see that they're absolutely exhausted, and they've had a shocker of a weekend. I mean, we talked about what happened to John Bowe. He had a total engine failure in the first hour and a half of the race, lost oil pressure. They actually had to do a complete engine change, take a spare engine out of the red spare 360 GT, put it in the black car. They lost 3.5 hours, and would you believe the car went out and exactly the same problem happened, exactly the same component failure, which was a chain drive to the oil pump, which normally has a life of some 6,000 racing Ks.
And the crew really, as you said, really did have to work hard, but not just with the changing of the motor. The biggest problem was that John Bowe was hanging over their shoulder the entire time. Patience was not his best virtue last night.
I'm surprised that mechanic is sleeping, because I'd have thought that a PHR person would have nightmares now. The weekend, as we say, has not been good at all. I mean, they've had some very good cars, they've had good personnel, they've had good drivers, and they're going to come away from Mount Panorama with pretty much nothing to show for it.
Well, top 25 is the best they can hope at the moment. Car 99, that's the Jimmy Richards, Peter Fitzgerald, Matt Veerland, Mahir Al-Gadri Porsche. That was the stand-in car that was brought in after Peter Fitzgerald crashed in the first practice and qualifying session. So even that car has had an enormous number of problems overnight.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems was one of those ridiculous things, a $15 part, a starter relay. It wasn't a problem of replacing it was just a matter of finding why the car wouldn't start. It took them about 20 minutes to work out that it was actually the relay. They whacked a new one back in and it was back out on the track, but gee, they lost a mountain of time.
Car on screen at the moment. Mahir Al-Gadri owns the car, backed by Cooper's Brewery and Lavazza Coffee for this weekend, and it's the co-driver, Matt Veerland, in the car at the moment. Tell us a little bit about his history, David.
He's done quite a lot of the 24-hour races in Europe, like the Nürburgring, for example. He's a regular there, and also comes from a family that competes in historic sports car racing. He is regular to be found driving big Can-Am cars from the 1960s and early 1970s in the International Supersports Cup, as it's called, and he's a pretty quick driver and has adapted well, I think, to Mount Panorama this weekend. He's kept out of trouble for the most part, and he's not been as quick as Jim Richards, but then who is? But he's done a pretty good job in that car.
That's the Bathurst 24-hour endurance race. Car 27 on screen at the moment, that's running second in the GT performance class. Wayne Russell, one of our guest commentators over the weekend behind the wheel, and doing a tremendous job. Grant, isn't he?
He certainly is. The crew have got their own onboard camera this weekend that they've been using to analyse the drivers, analyse the race lines. They're working very hard. They're a couple of laps down on the leader in class at the moment, but they believe that the Boylan car may have a little bit of a problem. They believe that they've got a problem with diff temperature, and they think that rear diff might be starting to slip a little bit in that car, so they think that they're still in here with a chance. The tactician for this team is a gentleman by the name of Michael Spies, who has an incredible record as a tactician, particularly in sailing. Multiple Sydney to Hobart wins, has raced for Australia at the top level. This is a guy that really knows what he's on about.
Let's have a look at the race score for this class. Remember, it's the GT Performance class for cars under $150,000, essentially road-going production cars. It's the Boylan BMW that leads from this car, the Wayne Russell BMW. Gary Dean's also doing a good job in the Subaru WRX STI. Trevor Haynes, quite a surprising performance from the Falcon. It's hanging in there in the top 10, would you believe, and they've had pretty much a trouble-free run all night. But this is a brand new car, Grant, to Australia for the Wayne Russell team, isn't it?
Yeah, they only had it out on the track one small time before they brought it here this weekend. It's still performing very strong. They're very confident. They're very happy with the way it's going. Gary Holt was a bit upset with one or two drivers out on the track overnight, but the car's still out there. It's in one piece. What more could you want?
Well, a man, of course, that's won the Bathurst race 7 times is Jim Richards, but I don't think this weekend's going to be number 8, and he's with Grant Kenny in the pits right now.
Yeah, Jim, I guess it's a weekend that probably didn't start out in the best of style, but and from there, I guess, you know, all the problems were compounded in the sense that the car that you were able to get on the road really wasn't ready for a race like this.
No, it wasn't. The car that we ended up racing was the Carrera Cup car of Maher Al-Gadri's from last year. So, and really, it hasn't had any, you could say, preparation work done on it probably for 2 or 3 months. And it was brought up here to use as spare parts for the other car that got crashed. So when we had to use that second car, it really was going to be hard work because it wasn't set up at all for a 24-hour race. But it's gone very good, apart from the few things that we've had go wrong.
Yeah, tell us, I understand we know, of course, about the electrical problem, but in terms of the clutch, just tell us a little bit about how busy you get with the feet there trying to overcome the problem you had.
Now, we had a little problem with the spring in the clutch pedal that let the clutch lay on the thrust bearing and push onto the diaphragm. So you had to lift it back after you changed the gear. You had to lift the clutch pedal back with your toe. But the clutch that was in the car wasn't a genuine Porsche clutch, so we can't blame that part of it, all right? So we now have the genuine Porsche clutch in, and it's going like a charm.
Well, that's great, mate. I guess you'd be looking forward to the rest of the day. And I noticed you had a bit of a secret there. You reached the hand into the lolly jar there before and grabbed a few snakes. Is that the secret to keeping the energy up?
A couple of snakes doesn't hurt at all. They're good energy food.
Good on you, mate. Good luck.
Second in the GT Performance class was the championship-winning Subaru of Peters, Rubus, Fork and Dean.
How tough is this place at night?
Very hard. I did the 2 a.m. till 5 a.m. stint, and I must admit, you sort of start to get a little bit. It was cold. It's like unbelievably cold as Bathurst can be, and just incredible feeling. But it's tough. You know, it's just you just sort of stay out there and go and go and go and go and go.
Second in Group 9 was Tony Quinn's son Clark, sharing the BMW with Wayne Moore, Roger Townsend and Tony Blanche.
Tony Blanche at 26 on screen at the moment, back there in 15th spot. This is the car that's running second in Class 9. Basically production cars under about $80,000. Gee, I tell you what, when Grant Boyd in this car has done some laps the last few years, hasn't it, in Australian motor racing?
Yeah, and the great thing about it is talking yesterday with Roger Townsend and Clark Quinn. Young Clark was saying this car is like an absolute bullet. It's not the fastest car on the track, but we believe it will be there at the end of the day because it is literally unstoppable. Across the top of the mountain he's going. It still looks well within itself, continuing to circulate where others have failed.
And BMW, like Porsche, know how to get cars to the end of 24 hours. They are very well-built cars. They're very strong, and that will be there at the finish, won't it?
Well, 5 BMWs in the top 10 outright. I mean, really says it all, doesn't it?
It does. They've performed exceptionally well this weekend. I spoke to VJ Angelo's team. They've got no complaints. Wayne Russell's the same. Clark was telling me that this is still going as strong as ever. That's a good bit of publicity for a mark.
Face of Jimmy Richards, 7-time Bathurst winner, and a man who's had an absolutely awesome career, a stellar career in motorsport at 55 years of age, still as hungry today as he's always been. Just wrapped up his Nations Cup Championship for the 3rd consecutive year in a row, but never in all his years has ever done a 24-hour race. This is the first one.
And never in all his years, if you watch any of his onboard cameras, does he change the look on his face. He gets this one look, whether the car's slow or whether it's sliding out, it just stays exactly the same.
There you've got the Honda we were talking about a little while ago, the damaged car that Herman Tilke put in the pit wall last night. Here's the pit stop though, Jimmy Richards to get into the Porsche. Gets his drink bottle, slot that into place.
Hadfield about to get out, so Richards in. Car still lapping around the 36s last time around, so has lapped as fast as a 17. We knew the car was quite capable of doing a 17 or an 18 around here, and one can only wonder now, you know, if they hadn't have had the problems they had and the car was consistent to be able to do that enough, they could well have been in the top 2 or 3. Indeed, they were at one stage. Jimmy Richards certainly had this car up to second outright before the first round of problems happened at the very first pit stop.
Well, we'll be able to see what they're going to be able to do with this towards the end of the day, because Jim Richards is arguably one of the best tin top racers here in Australia.
Oh, the best. I mean, no question about that. When you look at his career, the best. I mean, you could argue Peter Brock with a 9-time, you know, Bathurst win is equally as good, but I think when you take into account the different varieties of classes that Jimmy Richards has raced in terms of NASCAR, Targa Tasmania, sports cars, production cars, there's no question he is the best.
Let's try and be diplomatic, David.
I'd go, though, with what Craig is saying, because certainly if you look at Jim Richards' career, what he's driven and for how long he's been driving the various cars, yeah, he is a star driver. It's a shame we never saw him in Europe properly, really. He would have been good, I think, in the halcyon days of the European Touring Car Championship, or that 1 year of the World Touring Car Championship. But he, like Alan Grice, for example, also in this entry, it is fantastic for people from Europe to come and see these Australian icons competing.
Car 41, the Group 10 entry from Jeff Parker Motorsports, was in the pits with oil pressure problems.
But problems in the pits, look, for number 41. It made that slow lap back. Jeff Waters behind the wheel of the car.
The Mosler and the Hannon BMW exchanged third spot 4 times throughout the morning. The American Beauty still running without a clutch.
In the Hannon BMW, still 4 different cars in the top 4 different manufacturers, and these guys have had a tremendous run. First at Group 10, the Invitational class cars, and sitting there in third outright, a tremendous performance, Grant.
And Craig, we have to say credit where credit is due, not just to the team, but to David up here in commentary, who's been tipping a top 6 performance by a Group 10 car. You were wrong. Unfortunately for you, you were wrong. They're up into the top 3.
That's right. I mean, it's an amazing effort by this team. The Duller Motorsport team is an Austrian squad that does a lot of 24-hour saloon car races, touring car races around the world. And Howard Redhouse, the Irishman, who's one of the drivers of number 16, said to me after the first qualifying session on Friday, when I went to ask the question of him, what do you think of Bathurst? And he said, to be honest, it's not that special. It's a good track. But as far as we're concerned, we do so many 24-hour races, it's almost like going to the office, you know. It's another 24-hour race, just a different venue. And that team, apart from failing to get the speed limit right in the pit lane, has just gone on and on and on. And they've picked up a little bit, of course, because of one or two of the quicker cars having their problems. Well, yeah, OK, I was wrong, because that one is third. But the other one, don't forget, the teammate car, the sister car, is fifth, with Rob Wilson, the New Zealander, driving it as well. So both the Duller Motorsport cars are in the top 6. And they've done it with a minimum of fuss. They've just kept going.
Dominic Benenka was so excited last night about this team and said, we really do have a tremendous shot at this race, certainly a podium finish. And,
in qualifying, he got out of the car. I've never seen a person so animated about what it was like on the track. His body was jumping around as he was describing how the car was performing. I remember, David, I've got to say, you better leave the country real quick, Mr. Redhouse. You don't say Mount Panorama's not special in this place. They put you on an aeroplane real quick.
Yeah. Well, when he's on the podium, he can come up with a different thought, can't he? Yeah.
Oh, you better.
Yeah, had engine problems for the Benenka car. I think in the first or second session they did a precautionary engine change, but so far with now 400 laps ticked over, all running well. The most amount of laps ever raced here was 263 laps. Alan Jones, Gary Walden winning the 12-hour race in the Mazda RX-7, but we've never been anywhere near this number before, and just quite amazing that we've still got so many cars running.
Making history all the time.
Yes.
To go back to that engine change for the number 16 BMW, they had to change it because what happened was that when, I think it was Dominic Benenka driving it, he went for 6th gear coming down Conrod Straight. They hadn't put 6th gear in. It went into 4th gear and it made a horrible noise, or all the revs went up, and that was the end of that engine. So this one is about 25 horsepower down, but at least it's got the right number of gears.
Dominic Benenka, a fairly accomplished driver, took out the Australian GTP Championship in 1998, has raced in a variety of categories, started competing in 1984. He's always been one of those drivers that's been hopelessly underfunded, but a mile of talent behind the wheel.
Yeah, good talent, no question about that. And again, one of those battlers, could never ever get the right factory back ride. Always, certainly exuded the talent. And I remember when he first came into GTP in '97, when he was up against Peter Fitzgerald and Jimmy Richards. He was always the underfunded battler, and came back in '98 and actually won the championship, and was so emotional about it. Only did the final round at Oran Park, took it right down to the wire, but there was virtually no sponsorship on the black Porsche. It was funded by the family business, and Dominic went on to claim his first ever championship, and unfortunately has pretty much been out of a regular drive ever since. Ali?
With me, I've got Gordon Levin, who's with Yokohama Motorsports. Of course, the Brabham Porsche running on the Yokohamas. And I just thought at this point, with 6 hours to go, Gordon, we'd ask you, how are the tyres wearing up? We've managed to get one of the rears as well to have a look at.
We have no problems whatsoever with the tyres. The compounds are absolutely perfect for this event. They've run so far all the way through the night. We could have done with a compound a slight bit softer last night, but drivers that are professional as Grice and Brabham, they can make the car work on the tyres exceptionally well.
Alrighty, let's just have a quick look at this. Is one of the rear tyres, am I right?
Yeah, it's merely pickup. It's just from a slow down lap of the driver coming in. He has to get offline to keep out of the way of the faster cars, and it's just a little bit of pickup that comes on. The drivers have to be very careful if they go back out, and we do double stints sometimes where we send the car back out with the same tyres. They have to be very careful that they don't slip and like marbles until it clears off again. Then they're fine.
Jeff Waters back in car 41 after that rather long pit stop. The car that he's sharing with Jeff Parker, David Sala and Peter Gazzard. So good to see the car back on the track at the moment.
We've got a good battle brewing up for third place overall now. Peter Hannon with the number 16 BMW after that pit stop is now being caught by Martin Short at the wheel of the Mosler. Now the Mosler is lapping quicker. The gap between those two is 46 seconds and Martin Short is lapping about, 8 seconds per lap faster. He's not going to get there instantly, but before too long I think we're going to get the Mosler back into the top three.
Interesting to do the sums, Nigel, on how many times the Mosler and the Hannon BMW have actually swapped third place over the last probably 8 hours, because it's been like that pretty much. In fact, 4 lead changes for that third spot on the podium so far between the Mosler and the BMW. And of course, we should mention this car running without a clutch. Lap time still quite consistent, 2:25, so it's not taken a lot of speed out of the car, but obviously now driving just for that podium finish.
Martin Short knows how to nurse a car through to the finish. He seems to be one of those drivers that does have his fair share of bad luck when it comes to mechanical dramas with his cars. He started his GT racing career with a TVR Cerberus Speed 6 that he built himself with not that much help from TVR. He had a little bit of support, but it was really down to Martin and his mechanics. He turned up at the first race meeting, he took it out of the transporter, and on its second or third lap of qualifying, the engine let go. And that was the pattern for the rest of the year. Normally after qualifying, Martin would have to go back across England to his base and get another new engine for the car, but eventually he stuck at it, he came good, he's learned an awful lot, as has his team, about running in GT racing and long distance racing, and this, his 4th 24-hour race of the year. He did Daytona, he was at Le Mans, he did Spa, where he finished last but 25th, and now he's looking, I reckon, for a podium here at Bathurst.
Now tell us about the Mosler. I mean, built in America, but totally designed on computer. No clay models made of this car, and designed, I understand, by someone that was originally involved in the Corvette project?
That's right, yes, it has a lot of influence from there. Warren Mosler is the man that's been the driving force for this and has looked very carefully at the regulations for how Grand Am racing and GT racing operates in America with stock block engines, and has put together what he thinks is the dream package. And Martin Short went to Daytona for the 24 hours at the start of the year, not to drive one of these cars, but he stumbled across one and looked at it and looked at the spec and looked at the regulations in the British Championship and thought, that's what I need. He got hold of this car, he was building it for this event, he's given it a couple of shakedown races, 1 hour at Donington and then a 2 hour and 5 minute bell car race in Belgium at the Zolder circuit, and then bringing it here. So it really has been a car that's, you know, been not quite straight out of the box like the Monaro, but there's only its 3rd race and it's going well. And there is a car that is straight out of the box and straight into the pit lane, because 427, the Holden Monaro, is in, and this is a routine stop.
As we tick up 6 hours now, left to run in the first ever 24-hour endurance race from Mount Panorama Bathurst. Garth Tander coming in, still behind the wheel of this awesome 7-litre, 427 cubic inch, all-alloy Gen 3 V8 engine monster built by Gary Rogers Motorsport. Runs a 6-speed Hollinger sequential gearbox, 18 by 13-inch rear wheels, 18 by 11-inch front wheels. Running Dunlop tyres this weekend, huge AP brakes, 120 litres of fuel, and you can see how warm those front brakes are too.
Smouldering away.
With the damage on the left-hand side. During the night came together with car 22, the BMW driven by Debbie Chapman. And some quick pit work to pull the guard off the rear tyre has enabled the car to continue to set the fastest lap of the race at a 2:14.3.
Once again, very cool, calm and collected, everybody in pit lane. The car not screeching out of pit lane, not putting any pressure on the drivetrain, just nice, slow takeoff. Stephen Richards behind the wheel, now making his way down to come back out onto the track and continue circulating.
Interesting thing, the road-going version of the Monaro, the CV8, is again a 5.7 litre engine car. But interesting, David, that Holden in Australia are about to release a limited edition 50-only run of the 427 called the HRT road car. They put it on display at the City Motor Show, launched the car. It's got a half roll cage in. It's like the full biscuit, and it's really the if you like, the D-spec road version of this very car. And they took 8 orders on the first day. The car, $200,000 to buy, and only 50 to be built.
Yeah, we had a pretty tough night, a few problems, but yeah, everything's going really well now. We've pegged back a few laps on the Certec car, so still a long way to go. Yeah, it's not over yet.
Certainly is. In fact, we've done some calculations, and with the difference of lap times, which varies a little bit depending on drivers, particularly who's in the Porsche at the time, it's certainly an achievable goal. So I guess it's a never say die situation at the moment.
That's right. No, you never give up, and we're in the good position where all 4 drivers can do exactly the same lap time. We can push on if we need to. We're still looking after the car. We'll probably wait till a couple of hours before the end, and then we'll start pressing on.
I was going to ask you whether at some point in a race like this it gets a little bit routine, spearing around Mount Panorama at the sort of speeds you're going, and even having done it through the night. You've come out of the night though and set, I think, a 2:14 fastest lap of the race. What was that like?
I didn't even expect to do it. It was just one of those laps where there was no traffic, and hit all my marks and everything went well, and bang, 14 came up on the dash. So I wasn't trying to do it. I got a bit of a bollocking over the radio actually. It told me to slow down. But yeah, I mean, the car's still mechanically fantastic, really, really good. It's just a real pity we had that problem with the fuel pickup early in the night. Otherwise, we would have been looking real strong. But like you said, we'll never give up, and it's a long way to go, and you never know what could happen.
That's for sure, mate. Congratulations, and good luck for the rest of it.
Thank you.
Well, 6 laps off the lead lap, but they've clawed their way back from 11 laps down, so it's a great effort. This is the first ever 24-hour endurance race, live from Mount Panorama, Bathurst, and of course the Monaro in second spot from the Red House Hannon Bonica BMW, then the Mosler, another BMW, the Donaldson car, Angelo's BMW, Boylan, Russell, going back to position 9, Gary Deans from Trevor Haynes, then Halliday, Pilkington, David Russell, Courtley and Blanche, rounding out effectively the top 15.
With just on 5 hours to go, car 27, the Wayne Russell BMW, driven by Darren Edwards, running second in its class, crashed at Conacher Bend, forcing another safety car period.
Wayne Russell, looking at your car there at the moment, what's the story?
I don't know, we've just put a driver in the car. I just got out and the car was absolutely perfect. That's a Conacher Bend by the looks of it, so cold tyres and he's gone in too hot, I think.
Who's in the car at the moment?
Darren Edwards. I'm not sure, we don't know what's gone wrong. It might... Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We've got no radio contact at the moment, so I'm just trying to work out what's going on.
Very disappointing. The car was going good up until that stage.
Brilliant. No problems. All good.
A lot of damage to the BMW M3 of Wayne Russell, and the look on his face really says it all. And there it is, the car driven by Darren Edwards was second in its class at the time and inside the top 10. And the look on Wayne Russell's face really does tell the tale.
Less than 4.5 hours to go came the turning point in the race. David Bramham, who had led for the last 15 hours, came in for an unscheduled stop, and only seconds later, the second-place Monaro was also wheeled straight into the garage.
A problem for the Bathurst, and the Monaro back in as well. Well, the 2 front-running cars with problems down in pit lane, and they've taken the Monaro straight into the workshop.
Well, this is a car that had worked its way back to second outright, the Monaro, after being some 11 laps down. It's still 5 laps down now, but both cars in pit lane in the garage at the same time.
And what are they? It looks like they're working at the rear of the car. There's the Porsche, it's still in pit lane. Yes. There's not a lot of work going on there, Craig.
There's still no indication what's actually wrong with the car. Now, they're looking around the rear end of the Monaro. It did have problems early in the race where they had to change the fuel system. It had problems also during practice and qualifying where they broke part of the diff carrier system. Looking around the rear end of the Porsche.
Yeah, I wonder if they're having the same sort of a problem. Now we can see the back of the Monaro up in the eye. I noticed that the bonnet was up as well. It certainly appears that they're working back around that diff area of the Monaro.
Yes, and is it a rear axle problem or is it a drive shaft problem with the Porsche?
Well, they just had the rear wheels free running while the car's up on the jack. You see the mechanic now just turning the rear wheel slowly, trying to work out what's going on. These two were battling out on the racetrack a few moments ago. Now they're battling down in pit lane to get their cars back out onto the track.
Now they're wheeling the Porsche into the garage now, so obviously more work to be done to the rear end of the Paparol Dente Porsche. And gee, I tell you what, how can the fortunes change so much in a 24-hour race? Both first and second on the road in pit lane on exactly the same lap. And it looks like they're going to be both fairly long stops.
Well, this is not the race we expected to see, but nonetheless, it's an enthralling race anyway. Looks like the Monaro's going to have a driver change as well.
Yeah, Nathan Pretty out of the car. Cameron McConville now being pushed into the car. So they've clearly almost rectified the problem.
Looks like it's all hands on deck. And a driver change too for the Porsche.
Well, what a blow for the race leader. As again, they look around the rear end of this Porsche GT3 RS, and again, problems behind the Monaro. Let's go down to David Brabham. As you look at the drive shaft of the Porsche, find out the problem.
The car's been running just like a dream the whole time I get in the car. It just feels like new again, and you know, trying to maintain a good lead out there. And I had a small vibration, and then I sort of slowed up a little bit, and then it just got worse and worse, and I came in the pits. And they're changing the left side drive shaft, so you know, I think that's about a 10-15 minute job maybe. I don't know anything about these cars, but it seems amazing that the Monaro that we're racing with, which has been fantastic dice the whole race, is in the pits as well, so that's 24-hour racing.
The Monaro was first out and only needed a 3-lap break to get back in the lead, while the Porsche was still in trouble.
They dragged the car back. It's coming back out onto the track, so it's going to get out onto the track before the Porsche. Firing it up now. Waiting for it to head down pit lane. All clear. The mechanics say go, 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 and off he goes. Let's find out from Alison Drower, who's down there with Gary Rogers, what the story was with the Monaro.
Well, Gary Rogers, as you said, some high drama there at high noon.
Well, it's nearly high noon and there's certainly high drama. I mean, we've been doing the best we can to catch the Porsche, but the Porsche is obviously a great car doing a good job, and the whole Monaro's been slugging away there, and we thought all our Christmases had come at once when we heard they had a problem, and then all of a sudden we had a problem as well within a second. And part of the rear suspension in our car mounts into the floor, it had broken away, and so the blokes here, as usual, I know I probably sound like a broken record, but they've done a great job in a very limited time to locate it all back in place and bang some new bolts in, so away we've gone. We've just got to hope and pray they don't get out for a couple of laps at least.
Exactly.
Because then at least we'll all be on the same lap, and maybe then there'll be some real racing happen.
So the Just Cars Insurance Monaro back on track now. In fact, it was 11 laps down, clawed its way back to 5 laps down. Grant, could this be the turning point of the race?
Oh, look at imagine the tension that's going through the Porsche camp at the moment. Laps are ticking down with the Monaro back out on the track circulating. The Porsche, there it is, still down there in pit lane. They're still working on it. Can they get it out in time to maintain the race lead?
Pressure time in the pits with this Porsche. Ross Palmer, the CEO of Procar, looking on. His son co-driving this car.
And here comes the Monaro, Craig. It's going to take the lead in the 24-hour.
Yes, just at the 20-hour mark with 4 hours to go. The Monaro back into the lead for the second time since the start of this race. You can see the Porsche still in pit lane. It's a Just Cars Insurance. Monaro goes through, the team ecstatic as Holden again rules the world. Jimmy Richards on the road, second in the Porsche behind them. But I tell you what, this team have done a tremendous job as we see now the Certec Porsche coming out back into the pit lane.
Well, it's coming out. It's lost the lead, but it's not over yet. There's still plenty of time left in this race. They need to get it refueled and get it back out onto the track quickly. Alan Grice behind the wheel for this stint. He's got a lot
Alan
to do.
Grice then took over the Certec car, a veteran of 4 24-hour races and winner of the King's Cup at the Spa 24-hour in 1986. The 60-year-old was told to push hard to get back on the lead lap. Grice did as he was told, but Mount Panorama is renowned for throwing up the unexpected.
Oh, problems there.
Oh no, 24, this is Grice's Porsche, the Certec car. The car is sharing with David Brabham. Now problems on top of the mountain, a lot of damage to the right-hand rear quarter panel of the car. Gee, I wonder what's happened to Grice.
Well, he's obviously hit the wall. You can see the paint mark, and there's Brabham looking up at the screen.
Yeah, Grice getting out of the car now. Now he's clearly hit something, and on a very, very dangerous part of the racetrack.
He's calling it a day. The team worked so hard to get the car out. And Brabham walking away almost in disgust.
Gee, this is a real blow. This was a car that led for some 15 hours, and despite that pit stop, was still favoured for a podium position and potentially still an outright win.
Gee, I'm surprised, Craig. It doesn't look that bad. You'd think it limp back to pit lane.
Yeah, plenty of consternation in the pits there.
Obviously, it's more than we can see. It's more than just superficial damage.
So hopefully we'll get a replay and be able to show exactly what's happened to the Certec Porsche. But he's actually parked. Here we go now. In fact, this is at McPhillamy. There's the Mosler. And he's been squeezed up against the wall. It looks like Bryce has been squeezed up against the wall, clouded the wall, broken rear suspension. And you can see now the car is just looping itself around. In fact, the Mosler was very lucky to get through unscathed.
Ooh.
Oh, look at the damage to the rear end of the car. Yeah.
That's why he's not driving it back to pit lane. There's a close-up look. The diff, the suspension, and of course the superficial guard around the outside damage. The crew bitterly disappointed. They know their day's over.
Yeah, just hard to see what happened there, but you'd nearly think that Grice has been forced to push on hard, and he's probably caught the traffic at the wrong part of the mountain. And it looks like he's been squeezed against the wall and obviously paid the price.
David taking it exceptionally well too. He's a driver that's been around for a long, long time, knows what's required in these long races, and sometimes it just doesn't go according to plan.
Yeah, unfortunately Alan got mixed up with some traffic up the top of the mountain, hit the wall, and it's broken the rear suspension, but the guys are trying to get it fixed and try and get it out at least a few laps to finish the race.
With broken rear suspension, the car was repairable and could still get a podium finish if back on the track. After 500 laps and just under 90 minutes to run, only 7 of the original 36 starters had retired. But Australia had continued to rule the world, with the mighty Monaro back in command and only 1 hour to run.
So what do we love, Australia? We love football, meat pies, kangaroos, and this particular Holden car, the 427 Monaro, now leading the first ever Bathurst 24-hour endurance race, driven at the moment by Stephen Richards. Alan Grice still being shown as being second at the moment in car 24, and of course the American-made Mosler back there in third spot, driven by Mark Pashley at the moment. Joining us, of course, from Radio Le Mans, David Addison. Mate, you may well have beaten us in the international rugby last night, but I tell you what, mate, we're whipping your butt today.
Well, about 2 hours ago, I was feeling all confident. It was a British team, good old Certec Motorsport, who were ahead of the Holden. And it looked as though Certec was going to win the first ever 24 hours of Bathurst until a Mosler and a Wall and Alan Grice all became as one. And sadly, that Porsche not going any further at the moment. So this marvellous Monaro is on target. I feel like the patron saints of lost causes, because again, the Poms are being humbled by you Aussies.
Well, 22 hours, 45 minutes down to this amazing 24-hour spectacle. And as you can see, Stephen Richards, the race leader from Alan Grice, who's just dashed out of commentary, straight down to scrutineering to jump back into the Porsche. Then Mark Pashley, of course, Hannon back there in fourth spot. Rob Wilson has done a great job into the top 5. VJ Andrew Angelo also doing a tremendous job in 6th outright.
On green at the moment, a good little dice taking place down in the chase, Craig. The competitors further back in the field. Looks like one of them's about to come into pit lane, car number 15.
Running the top 5. So this is the Rob Wilson car we just talked about.
That was going so slowly through the chase, it almost makes me think it's got a problem. It's the car that Ian Donaldson and his son Andrew share with Robert Brooks, the British auctioneer, and the Kiwi, Rob Wilson, who was the first ever Barber Saab champion in America, held a Formula 1 super license for a time, vastly experienced man, and that car slowly down the pit lane. I emphasise slowly because this team doesn't have speedos in either of its 2 cars, and therefore it's had a number of pit lane speeding infringements during the course of the race.
In fact, between the 2 cars, 15 and 16, they've had so far 7 penalties overnight and today just for speeding in pit lane. Of course, no automatic mixture cut out to drop the speed, no speedo in the car, so of course they've got no idea how fast they're actually going up and down pit lane.
The GT Performance class was still being led by the Boylan BMW M3 in a faultless performance.
A lot of innovations with this team. They've been very, very reliable. Damien Ice White just getting out. Peter Boylan, team owner, is jumping in. But some of the things they do, they add oil with a syringe to make the whole process cleaner and quicker. They've also worked out that while the car is in the pits, to avoid having to turn the car off, they've set up a big refrigeration unit, which I'll just try and show you now. If you can see here the refrigeration unit is blowing cool air onto the car while the car's in the pits, and also down here on the ground the brakes, instead of changing just the pads, The team have set it up so that they can change the entire brake assembly, and you can see this little red component here is a device that enables them to quickly disconnect it and avoid the need to then have to bleed the brake system. So a lot of innovations going into making a smooth and consistent race with a reliable car, which is of course what you need to run for 24 hours.
Thanks, Grant. As you can see, folks, the clock ticking over 22 hours, 59 minutes, 49 seconds, 10 seconds to go, and 1 hour to run in the first ever 24-hour endurance race. Live from Mount Panorama, Bathurst, you can see the Peter Boylan BMW. Back on the,
As the 23-hour mark ticked over, local star Dominic Beninka in the Dula Motorsport BMW was leading Group 10, the invitational class.
So, with Dominic Beninka on screen at the moment, the Group 10 leader in another one of the Dula Motorsport cars, car 16.
That car's only a couple of laps behind now the Alan Grimes Porsche. That particular BMW running in Group 10, the invitation class, it runs in the European, the International Group N Series.
With the Brabham Grimes Porsche back in the pit lane, it was Darren Palmer who took over for the final stint. But again, the Mountain dealt a fatal blow to the German team on the run up the hill.
Car 24, the Porsche of David Brabham, Alan Grice, left pit lane with Darren Palmer behind the wheel and got to the top of the mountain coming into Conacher, and the car slammed quite hard into the left-hand wall. Let's have a look at the replay. We'll show you, folks. This is Darren Palmer, car 24, straight out of pit lane after repairs to the back end of the car. Comes up to Conacher cutting, turns in now, and the car, Garth Tander, just seems to run wide and bang, straight into the wall.
Straight on. Don't know if those guys put cold tyres on the car or whether something actually left over from the previous incident, and Darren didn't have any steering, but yeah, he didn't have much steering input there, and the wall was the next stop.
There's one thing about the concrete walls around Mount Panorama, they're very good at curing understeer.
Well, with Darren Palmer's teammate in the pits, Alan Grice, it's Ali Drower.
Well, Alan Grice, you're the one that drove it from Parc Ferme here into pit lane. How was it feeling for you?
Well, some pretty sharp corners. The steering was okay.
Right.
I think Darren's just gone in with cold tyres.
As it turned out, teeth missing from the steering rack, broken in the original crash, caused the car to push straight into the wall. The final safety car period, the Brett Peters Subaru, now second in the GT performance class, was also inside the top 10.
24 hours really is a team effort, and it started many months ago. This race was really a pipe dream at the start of the year. It wasn't in our plans with our sponsors, so really the four of us guys, Rob Rubers, Gary Dean, John Falk and myself, and of course Rod Dawson from Radspeed all sat down and said, look, we want to do the event. So everyone's basically pitched in together. We've got a great, obviously group of sponsors, people like Endless Brakes and Toku for the rattle guns, all the things you need. Everyone's really come together, and we had a game plan. We came here to finish the race, and with a little bit to go, we're still hanging in there.
You were talking earlier, really, in terms of driver choice and understanding the Subaru. That was a big decision for you?
Yeah, we went with people that had driven Subarus. All these guys have either raced them currently or have done, and understand the weaknesses and the strengths of the car. We had to stick to a pace. The car isn't renowned for its longevity. It's got some weaknesses, along with the fact that it obviously costs a lot of money to do this event, we also had to have people that would do what is required, and the guys have performed fantastic.
Also running well was the Boatwright Anderson, Armand and Halliday Subaru in the top 8.
Good to see the Wayne Boatwright car doing a good job here at Bathurst this weekend. They've struggled around Mount Panorama in years gone by. The car looking pretty smooth and in control out there at the moment.
Yeah, car owned by Scotty Anderson, being co-driven this weekend by Ross Armand and Ross Halliday from Adelaide, with Wayne Boatwright behind the wheel at the moment. By the way, folks, if the car travels 3,000 kilometres in this race, the engine crankshaft will revolve 8.5 million times. Each piston will travel 860,000 kilometres. 34 million messages will be sent to the spark plugs, and each wheel will turn approximately 1.9 million times. It'll use some 1,200 litres of petrol at 40 litres per 100 kilometres.
That's no wonder that endurance racing over a 24-hour period is such a demanding event.
So Boatwright's done a great job. Now inside the top 10, doing well in his Class 2 in the new generation 2001 model Subaru, as we continue the 24-hour race here at Mount Panorama.
The VJ Angelo BMW was still in command of Group 3.
Down the hill, number 35, the BMW Coupe, run by VJ Angelo, and this car now in 6th place. It has gone very well indeed through this race, and it's a team with a number of drivers coming here for the first time. He's accelerating his way now down out of the elbow. He's got the Mosler ahead of him.
Running in Class 3, which is the 2 to 3.2 litre Group N class for essentially pretty close to production racing, well, production cars, I guess, David, with limited specification changes. What are those spec changes?
They've got to be race ready. They've got to be safety modifications. You can upgrade the engine a little bit, the suspension, the brakes, and so forth. And the BMWs, as we know, are very durable, very reliable cars. I said this yesterday about the Porsches. Well, they haven't had mechanical problems, the Porsches. They've all been crashed out of the race. But the BMWs, this coupe and all the other M3s, still going like clockwork.
Well, still 5 in the top 10, so doing pretty well, BMW. Germany's still doing a tremendous job here at Mount Panorama this weekend.
While Holden ran strongly at the front of the field, Ford also ran well in the GT Performance class.
Right. This is a tremendous job being done by James Phillip in the Yamaha Tickford TE50. Now, while the Monaro is a specially built 427 7-litre cubic inch Chevrolet car, pretty much built for this race, this is a stock standard TE50 and doing a great job. In fact, they're sitting there well inside the, in fact, just inside the top 10. They've been as high as 7th, Grant Boyden, and that's a great effort.
Yeah, they certainly, it's been an interesting car to watch throughout the season. They debuted at Adelaide at the beginning of the season, and Grant Kenny is down trackside with the man who regularly drives this car.
Yeah, with Trevor Haynes here and the Yamaha Delphi's TE50, and Trevor, it's been a car you've been campaigning all year, but a lot of extra preparation to get it ready for this weekend. You must be delighted with how it's going so far.
The car has gone absolutely superbly. All the dramas we've had tyres, I've put it through a sand trap, but I got it back on the road. We've had a pretty good run. The car has been absolutely solid all day. We've been in the low 35, 36s, 37 second laps. It's been solid. It's been very, very good.
I guess at the end of the day, that's what's important here, and I know that you've been, as with most teams, in a sort of preservation mode. Find a rhythm that you can circulate in. We know that that's what everyone's been doing in terms of the car. How's that been on you as a driver and the rest of the team?
It's very, very difficult when you sprint the car all season to actually come back to like an 8 second a lap slower pace, and that I found very, very difficult. The guys who haven't driven it all year, who've come in, the 3 other drivers, have found that easier than I have. I really struggled. I slowed well down and then had to build my pace back up to find what was the right rhythm, because everything I do is normally in sprint mode.
That's great, mate. And just one final question. Planning on campaigning the Ford again next year in GTP?
Oh, look, this car will be back next year and we hope to have a Barra. So with FPV's help and Yamaha, we hope to be back here next year.
Trevor, good luck, and hopefully you'll make the last 40 minutes of what has been a very dramatic 23 hours and 20 minutes.
40 minutes to go, we've got to get there, yep.
Car doing well, running 4th in its class. The Peter Boylan BMW is still leading from the Rubis Subaru, Boatwright Subaru, and then James Phillip, currently, of course, in the Yamaha Tickford TE50. Joining us in commentary, Alan Grice. Alan, we haven't talked about you, well, we've talked about you lots on television, but we haven't actually talked to you in the commentary booth this weekend. Pretty disappointing stuff for you?
Yeah, a great 21 hours or something. I think it, we led the race for so long, led it by 8 or 9 laps. Then we sort of really in cruise mode with the car that was very, very strong, just didn't give any problem at all. Then we had problems, we got behind, and they said to me, go out and drive it flat out, was the words. So I did, and I think I didn't have a lap under 20 seconds. That's the quickest solid block the car had done. But when you drive these things flat out, you take extra risks with passing traffic when you're in cruise mode, and one of the risks didn't come off in that I had about 5 goes of getting past one guy in a couple of 100 metres, and he hasn't seen me yet.
Mate, you've been driving the Ultimate Extremes this weekend, the Porsche GT4, of course, or GT3 RS Club Sport, and your V8 Brute. Which would you prefer to drive?
Well, you can get a lot more VB in the back of the ute.
as well as the Kelpie.
No, they're great. I just like race cars. If you're a golfer, what's the difference in practicing with a 3-iron or a 9-iron? I just like motor cars. I like racing them.
Must be you're pretty happy with your stint, mate. I mean, you knocked up your 60th birthday not too long ago, only a month or two ago, so you constantly say you have less youth than perhaps some of the other drivers around, but on the times we saw, there's still plenty of speed there.
You've turned into a bully.
He's only saying that because young David Russell's on screen at the moment, 20-year-old out there doing a pretty good job this weekend. The car's performed pretty well. Not every team up and down pit lane overnight or today and even yesterday has had some sort of a problem. It's been the teams that have been able to overcome those problems and get the car back out onto the track and keep everybody's mind focused on the task at hand that has been able to stay out there and still be in the top 10.
The American-bred Mosler was still running second. Despite having no clutch, it was a gutsy performance from an enthusiastic team.
A lot of the overseas drivers are having the traditional problem they do with Bathurst. It's a wonderful track, but if you look at out of that the shot you've got there, a lot of blind corners, and when you've got to learn these blind corners, corner after corner after corner, it's very difficult to put it together. It takes years.
Ali Dwyer.
We've got Mark Pashley with us, co-driver for the Mosler. Now, Mark, you were just talking to me about, I guess, at this stage of the race, just maintaining your position, because really there's no reality now. Just maintain that second position, no reality of a win.
We've just got to cruise it round, yes. There's no chance of winning at all. We just need to get it to the finish. You can see what's just happened to the Porsche. Anything can happen. There's, 30 minutes left, so just got to keep our fingers crossed and just coast it round.
You were saying that you had very limited preparation time in the Mosler.
Yeah, the car's really only done 2 races, a debut race at Donington and a race at Zolder. I drove it for 30 minutes at Donington and about 10 minutes at Silverstone. So very little time in it really, but a bit today then.
Exactly, and also a couple of close calls for you, especially during your last stint.
Yes, I've just changed my shirt and the rest of the kit actually. The Porsche unfortunately lost its suspension, taught once it's gone, and spun right in front of me. So it's just sheer luck. He went one way and I went the other.
Yeah. And I guess what's next for the car? You were talking about taking it to America.
We've got to obviously talk about it and see what we do, but I think the car really could go to Daytona. That would be an obvious progression for it. Lots of testing over the winter, and let's see.
You've done a lot of enduros. How do you rate Bathurst?
I've not done that many enduros actually. No, it's Martin. Martin's the experienced one, the old one. I'm not quite as old. I've done a few, but I think Bathurst just had such a challenge to it, and it's just unique. And coming out here, I've never been to Australia, and the people have just been fantastic.
Thank you very much, Mark Pashley.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
What Alan was saying about the speed of that car, he was dead right in saying that, because it hasn't been that quick all weekend, but I think Martin Short and his team have adopted the principle that it's a long way to come for no result. They're desperate to get the car to the finish. But Alan, just listening to what Mark Pashley was saying there about the incident with you, he's still oblivious, I think, to what went on.
I think so, yes.
Showing the scars of the previous 23 hours, the Melinda Price, Peter Hansen, Herman Tilke Honda S2000.
Honda S2000 has looked better. In fact, looked quite sharp at the start of the race, but got turned around on a safety car restart during the middle of the night and clouted the wall quite heavily. In fact, Grant Kenny's with Melinda Price in the pits right now.
Melinda, one of only 2 girls that are racing here today, and I understand this is now your 3rd 24-hour race. How's this one compared to the others?
Well, it's not too bad, actually. The first 2 I did, the car got crashed and we didn't continue, so it's really good to be there at the end of the day.
So this one, there was a bit of an accident. I know you weren't in the car. At the time, you were running 1st in class, and I think 18th outright, something like that. A very good effort for the Honda S2000.
Yeah, we were really surprised. We got into the lead early and we were 18th overall with all the cars falling out, and then we copped a friendly tap off somebody and hit the wall and we lost a few laps. We've worked our way back to 3rd in the class, and I think we're 18th again overall, so still happy.
That's good. I was just going to say, having fun?
Having a great time, actually. I've got some really cool international drivers to drive with that have done lots of races around the world, so I'm in very good company.
Tell me, what's it like in this category with the faster cars? I mean, there is a big speed difference between, the smaller cars and the bigger top-end cars. What's that like as a driver, particularly at night time?
Probably a little frustrating if you're in one of the slower cars. I mean, it's really hard. You've just got to spend the whole time looking in your mirror, and some of the lights are so bright. I mean, and the speed difference is so big, but you're just looking in the mirrors, getting out of the way, thinking, I wish I was in one of those fast cars.
You've done a great job. Congratulations, and hopefully you'll make it safely to the rest of the race.
Thank you.
The Pullright Formula Green Honda S2000 being driven by Henry Tilke at the moment. This Monaro has been simply awesome though, isn't it? I mean, 1968 we saw the Monaro here for the first time, 327 cubic inch car, came back in 69, 350 cubic inch car to of course beat the Ford GTs in the day, and back in 2002 with a 427 7-litre engine, rumoured to be developing something like 700 horsepower.
Yeah, probably not that much in 24-hour form, but a purpose-built race car, without question, and they've done an extraordinarily good job. I rated this car 0 chance of finishing its first race is a 24-hour race, merely because I don't know if that's ever been done before. It's a brand new concept car, and it's finishing 24 hours. I think it's a wonderful effort.
Alan, do you think there might be a lesson in that for new players into this world of 24-hour racing? The two cars that they were saying were not going to finish it are currently 1 and 2.
Yeah, well,
and the Porsche with the
I don't think that's the normal way to do things. You need to test. You need to, test components. Although most of these components have come out of supercar racing, so they've got a lot of testing there.
So you've done 4 24-hour races, this being the 5th, of course. Is it as tough as everybody says it is?
It's one of the toughest races in the world, 24 hours around this circuit.
Okay, let's have a look at the specs of this superbly built car. 7-litre, 427 cubic inch engine. It's been actually developed here in Australia by Gary Rogers, not a Corvette-based engine. They've designed their own inlet manifold, their own valve train by, of course, GRM's long-time engineer, Mike Excelshaw. He's done a tremendous job, 6-speed hydrogen gearbox.
Yes, and you noticed from the in-car shots there earlier, it's also a sequential change. Not a H pattern as we used to in a normal car. Just push forward, forward, forward for gears, pull back, back, back for gears. Don't even think about the clutch. Here, you just pull back, went up another gear.
Huge brakes, as you can see. Big wheels too, 18-inch wheels. Front very, very wide, rear very, very wide, 11 and 13. So there's no question about it. I mean, it really does have the specs to take it to the Porsches, Ferraris of the world.
Oh, unquestionably. It's a purpose-built race car without question. Anybody that says it's not is having a lend.
And rebadged, this car is going to be a Pontiac launched in America next year, and people are now also asking the question whether, bearing in mind how well GM have gone at Le Mans with the Corvettes, whether we may see this car badged as a Pontiac taking to Le Mans in the future.
See the live telemetry being beamed from the Menara at the moment. You can see that Stephen Richards very much in cruise mode as he comes down through Poolride Forest Elbow, just feeding the car in. And as we wind down to the last 18 or 19 minutes of this 24-hour endurance race, let's run with it down the main straight. Well in excess of 200 kilometres per hour.
Revving it to 4.5 through the gears.
In 6th gear now. Now the car has been as high as 6,200 over the weekend.
Yes.
So you can see how much he's pulled back at the moment. 5,000 RPM, 241 Ks, feeding it gently through the chase. So they're really backed off.
Oh yes, certainly.
A lot of people thought the car was capable, Alan, of a 208, 209. The best we saw was the fastest lap of a 214.3.
Yeah, that's still a bit of a mystery to me, I have to admit. On paper, it's under 210 for certain.
And can you believe this? The last 10 minutes of the race after 24 hours, car 13, the Osborne-Roken Macing MR2 has stopped on top of the mountain.
It's not over till it's over, is it? Even within sight of the flag almost, and even with some teams backing off and just trying to get to the end, there are still twists in the tail, and another car there, Craig, stopped by the side of the road.
Yeah, this is the Mike Kilpatrick car 32 Futura Commodore, also went out in the last 15 minutes, and Alan Grice, I mean, these guys have battled long and hard all weekend. The MR2, they had an engine change in the middle of the night. They've done everything to try and get to 24 hours, and down to the last 10.
If only he got a little bit further along the track, he'd almost coast down the hill, wouldn't he?
But this is the car that continues to lead as we get into the dying moments of this first ever 24-hour endurance race. And congratulations to Ross Palmer, a great visionary when it comes to Australian motorsport. And we should talk about his history. Gave Dick Johnson, of course, his first break to win his first Bathurst back in 1980. Palmer Tube Mills, very synonymous with Australian motor racing. Of course, went on to develop a NASCAR team in America that Dick drove for as well. And of course, set up the Pro Car Champ Series, which evolved with this race this weekend, making Australian motor racing history.
But when he walked into the Pro Car boardroom and said, hey, I've got this great idea, let's have a 24-hour race around Mount Panorama, they probably called for his medication. But it's in 9 months or so come to be a reality. And not only that, it has been a fabulous race. The signs are great for next year. Everybody has taken to this, the people in it, the people watching it, and of course it's all been very important for Bathurst as a town because it's good for the local economy.
And David, it's very easy for us to say, you know, the glowing recommendations for Ross Palmer, but go down into pit lane and speak to every one of the crews. They all feel the same way.
No question about that. I mean, even 2 weeks ago, people doubted this event would ever happen. And to start with a field of 35 cars, Alan Grice and some 28 international drivers and 8 international entries, including the calibre of the David Brabhams of the world, is a great start for this race.
Oh, absolutely. And from all the ones that I've spoken to, they all most certainly want to come back, and they're making plans to at this point.
And a great concept, the class concept, you know, road-going or showroom production-based class race.
Yes, I think so. I think that motor racing in Australia has got a long way away from that, and I think that there's recognition that it should come back.
In the pits, Grant Kenny.
Yes, guys, with Ross Buckingham, who was lured to Bathurst driving a BMW M Coupe, the first entrance from overseas into this race. What was it that lured you out here?
Well, really, for me, it's a lifetime dream, really. I watched cars racing at Bathurst when I was a little kid, and wanted to race here ever since. So I've always sort of said, I'll only ever come to Bathurst if I'm driving something, and here I am.
And I understand now, just about, if not already up into 5th place overall, must be pretty happy with that after a long trip.
Oh, very happy, yeah. I mean, we came out here with the intention of finishing up in the top 10. So finishing top, in 5th position overall was just a dream result, really. Absolutely fantastic.
All right, you've all done a great job. Congratulations and good luck with the last few minutes of the race. And just quickly, guys, I know that it's getting very late, but Melinda Price, in all of the excitement, forgot to wish her grandpa Grubby a happy birthday. So there you go, she's done it now.
Great family show. The first ever 24-hour endurance race here at Mount Panorama, winding down now. The final minutes, just on 7 minutes to go. So by our calculations, probably just on 3 laps, maybe 4. See what the clock ticks over at. You can see 23 hours, 53 minutes. And 4 seconds and counting, David.
And the checkered flag goes out the first time the leading car goes over the line after 24 hours have elapsed. And if it's anything like Le Mans and the other 24-hour races, that last lap around the circuit is something to savour, with the marshals waving their flags, and the other cars tend to queue up behind the leader because they all want the photographs, they all want the coverage, and the atmosphere at the end of the 24-hour race, wherever it is always amazing, because it's this great sense of achievement. You've been up right the way through the night, the teams haven't gone to sleep. I've been up for 24 hours watching all of this, and it becomes a very emotional time at the end, Alan, when you've gone through all of this and you finally got to the end, and just finishing is a great result in itself.
Yes, and really to experience it overseas is something that we have to wait to build here, I think. But you're certainly right in France with and Belgium with Spa and Le Mans. It's a big occasion at the end of the 24 hours. We've got to learn that.
Car 44 on screen at the moment, the little Mitsubishi Mirage. And these little cars have done a tremendous job when you consider that the car driven by Anthony Robson at the moment is running 3rd in its class and 12th outright for such a tiny little car, 140 kilowatts, front-wheel drive, and they've absolutely driven the biscuit off this thing.
Yeah, it's a great team. It's a good group of drivers too. Gary Quarterly and Gary Young, and as you said, Anthony Robson out there. Melrose preparing the cars, and he knows a great deal about Mirages. When these cars first came out to Australia to race in their series, it was Melrose that set up every single one of these cars. There's not probably a person in Australia that knows more about them. They're not your standard road-going car. They've got all the rally art trick stuff in them and make them go nice and quick, keep them nice and stable on the ground. And they've proven to be pretty much a giant killer here this weekend at Mount Panorama.
We believe that if Stephen Richards slows down, probably 2 more laps until the 24-hour mark ticks over. And just recapping on some of the major retirements in the race, Peter Fitzgerald crashed the Porsche he shared with Jimmy Richards in the first practice qualifying session. They changed to the Super Cup car, which had not been prepped for a 24-hour race, and that really handicapped Fitzgerald and Richards' attempt on this race. Of course, John Bowe, engine failure after the first 90 minutes of the race in the Ferrari, an engine change in 3.5 hours, and exactly the same failure, which, would you believe, Alan Grice, was a timing chain on the oil pump, which was life for 6,000 Ks, and they've had 2 failures, 2 engines, all within 90 minutes of race time.
Somebody will say that's motor racing, and I hate it when they say it, but it is.
Also problems for the Floyd Morris Wilson McDonald car, another one of the overseas entries. Car 6 crashed in the S's during the night when it hit Debbie Chapman's BMW. But amazing, only 10 retirements, and everybody was saying maybe 10 cars will finish, maybe 12 cars will finish, a sweep, maybe 15 cars will finish, but it's quite amazing.
And the majority of those retirements as well have been through accidents or driver error. Relatively few have been mechanical, and I suppose for all the teams, the visiting teams that have suffered, it's more lessons learnt at the mountain.
The Woodbury Alexander team out with an engine failure. Wayne Russell's BMW with a crash. Darren Edwards at the wheel. Anton Mitchell's Evo 5 also an engine failure. With 4 minutes now, in fact less than 4 minutes, folks, as we wind down from Mount Panorama, and you're riding with the race leader, Stephen Richards. And really, Alan Grice could well make it his 3rd Bathurst win. Like he's won 2 in certainly the V8 Supercar ranks, and you'd nearly claim this is a true Bathurst win, wouldn't you?
Oh, well, you certainly would, but the purists wouldn't accept it. I won the 12-hour race here, and that wasn't acceptable.
Unbelievable, isn't it? You think about it, look at the clock, 23, 56 and 30 now as it ticks over. So many people believe that we wouldn't be here in November running a 24-hour endurance race across the toughest racetrack Australia has to offer, if not the world for that matter. And here we are, just a couple of laps away from the checkered flag. Well, touch wood, everything looks good for an Australian victory, but it's... Well, the checkered flag's not out yet, Craig.
Certainly, you were saying tough as anything in the world. I think it's tougher. I think the layout of the track at Le Mans is certainly an easier layout than this one. And Spa It's a wonderful track also, but I think on mechanically, I think Bathurst is tougher. It's harder on the equipment.
But look at these guys, been up all night with this car, nursed this Monaro home. They've had to do panel beating work in the middle of the night. They've had to change a fuel tank. They've had to change some differential structure failures twice that happened during the previous 23 hours. So now Stephen Richards cruising home in the 7-litre 427 cubic inch Monaro with the Hollinger 6-speed gearbox. Fully independent rear suspension developed by Harrop Engineering. Olin shock absorbers, as we said, 18 by 13 inch rear wheels, 18 by 11 inch front wheels on Dunlop Racing tyres. Motec onboard engine management and dash system, and Stephen Richards very, very comfortable heading home on his final lap and a half.
And I think when he does take the checkered flag, there are going to be a lot of people, be them spectators, teams or media, shaking their heads saying, I never thought it would last. And certainly I didn't expect it to. The Holden PR man took me to one side this morning and said, look, we are going to win this. It is going to finish. Just mind what you're saying. And to win this race, first time out, this will be a fantastic achievement. And there are many other manufacturers that have tried to do the same and failed, and they'll be very jealous of what Holden has achieved this weekend.
And there's no doubt it's going to be a crowd favourite. Yesterday, when they were having problems with the fuel tank, they had the car in the garage. As soon as it was backed out, the crowd standing right in front of it absolutely erupted with excitement. They wanted to see it. They were willing it on. They had no choice but to try and finish the race, I think you'll find.
And of course, second on screen still the Mosley MT900R. Martin Short, the man that owns Roll Centre Racing, the team that brought this car, prepped it, and no doubt taking it home to the checkered flag.
Well, that's right, and then it's off to Daytona to race there. I can barely watch these pictures because Martin's a pretty good mate, and if he does finish in second place, the world will know about it, because seldom is Martin short of a word or two, and he makes his way. There he is, hard at work across the top of the mountain. He's never been here before, and he's going to finish in second place.
And he's been so enthusiastic about this race too. His two co-drivers there watching on. And was one of the early overseas entries. Missed the plane originally to send this car out, missed the ship, and then, of course, had to load it onto a plane to send it out. Only arrived in the last week or two, and looking pretty sharp with 23 hours, 59 minutes in the first ever 24-hour endurance race. Live from Mount Panorama, folks. Just exciting stuff as we count down the last 45 seconds. Alan Grice, what would be going through Stephen Richards' mind?
Well, you're hearing things rattle in the car that really aren't there. It's the last lap of any race, particularly a long race when you've been looking, it's been building up for that long. You really just got everything crossed.
Third place on screen at the moment too. That's the Red House BMW Car 16 for Dollar Motorsport. Stephen Richards now waving to the crowd as he goes through Falcon tyres for the last time. Thumbs up. Stand up, Australia. Holden has served it up to the world. Sorry, David, you may have beaten us in the rugby last night, but by 1 point, but so what?
Well, I think for the first Bathurst 24 hours, it's only fair, isn't it? There's an Australian team and an Australian car is going to win. The Holden flags are going to be waved at the top of the mountain. In the background there, you caught a glimpse of a spectator that's been there all race long with a Ferrari flag and a Holden flag, hedging his bets a little bit, but he's got the right one in the end. He's got the Holden flag there. And what an achievement this is going to be. Down through the VB Dipper for the last time comes Stephen Richards, the traffic ahead of him. He's going to find a way past very shortly. Indeed, I was going to say on Conrod Straight, even before that, heading into the elbow, he goes by. And this is the car that's going to make history by winning the first ever 24-hour race at Mount Panorama. Craig, what an achievement.
Driven by Garth Tander, 25 years of age, Formula 4 champ in 97, won Bathurst in 2000, second in a 2000 V8 Supercar Championship. Stephen Richards, Australian Formula 4 champ, won Bathurst twice, defected to Castrol this year from Ford, son of Jim Richards. Cameron McConville, Formula 4 champ, 96 GDP champ, now driving the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore. And Nathan Pretty started in Oscars, Holden Young Lions, drove to fourth in this year's Bathurst race. The four drivers have done a magnificent job, as has Gary Rogers Motorsport, who built and prepped this car as it goes under the Dunlop Bridge for the last time. The Just Cars Insurance Holden Monaro, 7-litre, 427 cubic inch Monaro, gasses it onto the main straight for the last time, takes the checkered flag in the first ever 24-hour endurance race at Mount Panorama. Congratulations, guys. What a brilliant drive.
The first ever 24-hour race, and the Holden Monaro wins it, and it wins it by one heck of a margin. Everybody in that team, drivers, mechanics, can feel rightly delighted, and Stephen Richards has the glory, of course, of bringing it across the line, and he is over the moon, and quite rightly so. The Holden wins here at Mount Panorama. They said it wouldn't happen. They were wrong.
For Garth Tander and the team, Holden made it 3 wins from 3 starts at the mountain for the Monaro. The last victory 33 years ago.
Mate, we've got to rub it in. Let's take the win while it's on the board.
Good.
Second, the Mosler MT 900R of Short, Pashley, Lamb and Malagamoa.
There is Stephen Richards. He's taken the checkered flag, is coming then now up towards the line. We've got some of the other cars, the back markers, but there is Martin Short. How much further has he got to go? He's on his way down to the chase then. The Mosler, no clutch, remember, since 4:30 this morning.
Amazing effort.
And even despite that, as Martin gives a good wave there, he's going to finish in second place. And he is going to be, I'm sure, a pretty tearful man when he gets out of the car, because Martin engenders a good team spirit. He is so grateful for the way that the Fortec guys have helped him this weekend. And this little British team with this unknown American car here for the first time, crawling now up towards the end of the race. But Martin Short is going to finish in second place in the Mosler. He's backed it right off. He wants to get it to the line. Well, people have been looking at the car all weekend and saying, what is it? It is a Mosler, and it is the car that finishes in second place with the door open, so Martin Short can wave to the team, he can wave to the crowd, and the Brit, Martin Short, and the Mosler comes home for second place, and that is a marvellous, marvellous achievement.
And a great effort too from his co-drivers. Alan Bryce may well not agree, but it's all racing, Alan. 24 hours, they've certainly done a great job.
Yeah, but no question about that. Great result.
Door up as Martin Shaw drives through the start-finish line. All the cars slowing right down. Some tremendous performances too, of course. The Red House BMW for Dollar Motorsport. And they've really made a tremendous effort with two cars in the top four, third and fourth outright, and the first of the two invitational class cars home too.
The way that the Datadog BMW number 16 has gone to finish in third place, you've almost had to find things to talk about it, because it's gone like clockwork. And this, you're looking at the car that's going to finish in fourth place. Third goes to Howard Redhouse, Dominic Maninka and Peter Hannon. And here for fourth place, Rob Wilson, the Kiwi, Ian and Andrew Donaldson and Robert Brooks. They have shared this BMW. It had a wheel bearing problem earlier on today, but it comes home for fourth place. Those two Group 10 BMWs finishing third and fourth. Great effort as ever by everybody involved, and that's an experienced team, Dollar Motorsport, that owns the cars. They do a lot of 24-hour races, and they can add success at Bathurst to their pretty impressive CV.
Peter Boland will bring home the Quirks Refrigeration BMW M3 first home, 6 outright in the GT Performance class. A tremendous effort too. Scotty Loadsman, David Russell first home in Group 9. And as you can see, Red House will come home first in Class 10, first of the invitational class cars, and 532 laps up. And the winning margin, 532 laps for the Richards, Tandem, McConville, Pretty Monaro, over 509 is just amazing. And Garth Tander is in the pits right now.
Well, Garth Tander, you've tasted victory here at Bathurst before, but is this one even sweeter?
You work a lot harder for this one, that's for sure, and it probably is a little sweeter.
Show us the poster, come on.
Look at that. Cop a load of this, Porsche. Yeah, fantastic. Guys did an awesome job. It was looking pretty dodgy when we were 12 laps down in the night, but we just kept chipping away, and we thought if we can keep the pressure on them, they make a mistake, and then obviously Gricey had a moment up the top, and then as soon as that happened, we just wanted to bring the car home. So that last hour was the longest hour of my life, that's for sure.
Yeah, has it felt good, the fact that we've been able to blow off these Europeans?
It's not about racing. 24-hour racing isn't about beating your competitors. It's just being consistent and staying out of trouble and doing the best job you can over 24 hours. And our guys did a fantastic job. We had plenty of things thrown up at us, and they survived and did their best out of everyone.
Congratulations, Garth Tander. Well done.
Yes, and down here in the number 11 car with Charles Lamb. Charles, first time to the mountain. It must be a fantastic feeling.
I can't even describe it. Very, very emotional. We had very low-end expectations when we came here. We've never been to the mountain. We knew of the fearsome reputation of the place, and to be able to master it and to finish second is just undescribable.
Congratulations, and I hope you've enjoyed your experience in Australia.
I certainly have. Thanks very much.
Looking a little punch drunk. I reckon it's going to take 2 beers for these guys to feel the effects of winning third. Congratulations, Peter Hannon.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be in Australia. I've got my good Australian driver who brought us through the night doing double stints, and the team has a great time, and wanted to thank everybody, including...
What's been the best part of running at Bathurst, Dominic?
I don't know, just the day, the night, just being here, just having a drive in the 24-hour. It's fantastic.
Peter was joking, it's the camper van.
Well, you have to be prepared for every eventuality, so 5 sets of clothes and 10 meals.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Jeweler Motorsport, to the podium for you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very happy man, Dominic Maninka won the 1998 GDP Championship in a Porsche 911 Club Sport RS. David has been pretty much without a drive ever since. A lot of talent. And a great result as we recap the results of the first ever Bathurst 24-hour endurance race. And of course the win went to the Holden Monaro, the mighty Monaro, 3 out of 3, 68, 69 and 2002 for Tanda, Richards, Pretty and McConville. And of course then second outright, Short, Pashley Lamb and Mullamagua. Red House, Hannon, Beninka, Donaldson, Brooks, Wilson, Donaldson again. The Angelo Shaw, Marsh, Buckingham car, first home in Group 3. First home in the GT Performance class, Group 5. Boylan, White, McKay in the BMW. Second, tremendous performance also for Peters, Dean and Rubis in the Subaru.
Good 9th place for Haynes, King, Schumacher and Phillip, and also looking at 1 or 2 more down there. More BMWs, for example. 13th, a little Honda despite the damage, coming home in 14th. And 15th, pretty good result, all things considered, for Jim Richards.
Yeah, he fought all the way back from the very, very first session, didn't he? Williams, Moore, Kilpatrick, 17th outright, Alford, Grounds, Quinn and Denya. 18th outright in the Donut King car. Rose, Lemus, Brangwyn, Walls, Hill, Cribbin and the Holden Commodore. They still keep on coming.
Well, these, I'm afraid, those that didn't make it to the end, including the Brabham, Grice, Porsche, and a lot of other damaged cars are going to leave Map Panorama this weekend. It was a race full of drama, full of excitement, and for some, quite a bit of damage.
Absolutely, and of course, the 888 Ferrari of John Bow, Brad Jones, and of course now, for the podium presentation, it's down to Grant Boyden.
Let's bring out the people that go down into the record books. Finishing third outright, racing for the Datacom team, the Data.com team, Howard Redhouse, Peter Hannon and Dominic Beninka. Well done, Howard. A great effort by the team. Come up and say a few words.
Thank you very much to Ross Palmer for putting the event on. A lot of work I know has gone in, and I hope to come back next year. Thank you.
Finishing second, ladies and gentlemen, representing the UK, the Mosler of the Rose Centre Racing Team, driven by Martin Short, Mark Pashley, Charles Lamb and Galantha Mullamagua. Martin, it was going to be a tough weekend, but you made it happen. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. 24-hour racing in Australia, I think it's here to stay.
The entire team doing a great job. Now, the people in front of me know who they're waiting to see. It's our outright winners. Racing for Australia and Gary Rogers Motorsport, the Monaro, driven by Garth Tander, Stephen Richards, Nathan Pretty, and of course, Cameron McConville. Well done, Garth. A fantastic effort by not only you 4 drivers, but the entire team.
Oh, absolutely. These guys down here, all the boys from Gary Rogers Motorsport did a fantastic job all weekend. Many, many thanks to Holden Motorsport, John Stevenson. This was his baby, and to come through with a win first up's fantastic. Just Car Insurance, getting behind this project, saw the vision to get behind it, and we repaid them. Thanks to Dunlop for the tyres. They really looked after us this weekend, and it's going to be a big night at the pub tonight.
You can guarantee that. There they are, ladies and gentlemen. Third, second and first in the inaugural Bathurst 24-hour.